Wings of Betrayal, The Faerie Rebel. On Wings of Ashen Dust, Ep.1. By Brittany Wang. Narrated by Talon David. Of all of Phelan's fairy clans, sylph knowledge none shall meet, the beauty of the nymphs unmatched, the craft of kobolds never sleeps, dryads nurture all of life, Gwyllian's strength no one can beat. But darkness comes with no remorse. All shall crumble at her feet. Excerpt from the Mystic Tome. 4 years ago. I have to get out of here. Fleeing down the cliffside streets of Greymarrow, I urge my dragon-like wings to quicken through the thick smog. Bladesmiths stoke their forges with early morning fire. Loud hammering and the whine of a sharpening wheel thrums through my body. My eyes sting from the smoke, but at least no one can see I've already rubbed them raw. Blasted tears. As a red sun rises, my vision blurs, and I crash into a display of swords. They clatter to the ground. Berating voices call after me for my carelessness, but I don't stop, speeding toward the beach below the mountain. The more the tears fall, the faster I fly, as the Gwyllian mantra I claimed just the night before rings in my mind, taunting me. Gwyllians are strong as steel. They do not yield. Magic is a crutch. Laughter is frailty. Tears are poison. Collapsing on the beach, I cast my dagger into the sand, wrap my wings around me, and breathe in the cool, salty air. Steadily, the crashing waves drown out my raging thoughts and soothe the growing heat in my chest. The silver sea has always been my haven from the dreary, suffocating cliffs of Greymarrow. Out on the wide-open beach, I can finally breathe. As the sun continues to rise, merchant ships come in and out of port, and it takes all my strength not to climb aboard one and never look back. To travel the rest of Phelan and find out if there's anywhere else in the 5 provinces I belong. I would even join the pirates if no other fairy clan would take me. A smile creeps onto my face as I imagine what it might be like to stow away on one of the pirate lord's ships, traveling Phelan's seas as part of his crew, far away from here. Quinn! My twin brother's voice brings me back. Gaius's training armor clangs as he lands on the sand beside me, stretching his own dragon-like wings. Catching his breath, he runs a hand through his distinct white hair, highly unusual for a youngling of only 13. Though Gaius is too kind to scold me for my tears, I rush to erase any evidence of them on my sleeve, any evidence of weakness. Still, I'm sure I'm a frightening sight, eyes ringed red, my brown nest of odd waves and curls in disarray. Never mind how my tears mix with the caked mud on my face from last night's battle sessions. The sessions that decided our ranking in the Gwyllian Guard. Gaius's pointed ears perk up as he turns to me. Thought I'd find you here. He bumps me with his elbow. You know, if we don't go back soon, we'll never be ready for the ceremony in time. You don't think I look presentable? I try to joke, bumping him back. It's not that I hate dressing up. In fact, I love it. I've always been theatrical, something our father never fails to reprimand me for. I just can't stand our clan's unimaginative affinity for furs with muted leathers and hide skins. Perfect for the cold mountain climate, terribly dull on the eyes. I'm also not looking forward to being whispered about behind my back when everyone hears the news. My smile falters. It doesn't matter. I'm not going. Why not? Gaius's tone drops, but I keep my gaze out to sea. It's always hard to deny him when the concern in his eyes tells me he's just trying to help. Come on, you become one of the most skilled among us. I know they didn't call your name first, but your ranking can't be that bad. If only he knew. Being selected for the Guard is a Gwyllian's highest honor, the ultimate sign of what our clan values most: strength. With our mountains surrounding all of Phelan, the Guard is its protector, defending its borders from invading giants and raiding dragons, even against our traitorous brethren, the magic-wielding mystics. As Gwyllian Lord and General of our army, the ever-stoic Lord Faden has overseen the training of all youngling-aged Fae for months. And after last night's exhausting duels and practice raids, he ushered in the new day by announcing to all recruits which of us made the cut. Faden has always favored Gaius, who is annoyingly good at everything he puts his hand to. But I've trained hard for a position too, quickly climbing the ranks, and I have the scars to prove it. Or so I thought. I wasn't chosen, Gaius. At all. There. I said it. Unsurprisingly, Gaius's name had been read first, the spot usually reserved for the youngling with the most promise, the one that would be trained to someday lead the entire Gwyllian army. Once they read his name, the guards celebrated him with thundering stomps of their feet as Lord Faden escorted him into the victor's hall. I anxiously awaited my own moment as name after name sounded through the courtyard. But that moment never came. Later today, Lord Faden himself will ceremonially present those that were selected for the guard to the entire city. All will know of my failure. With a sigh, Gaius puts a hand on my shoulder, and I allow my brother's attempt at comfort. If we weren't out in the open, he might have even put an arm around me. But we both know pity is not the Gwyllian way. It doesn't make sense. I hold back the quiver in my voice, trying to think of what I could have done wrong. I mean, I know I have a different way of doing things. Gaius stifles a good-humored laugh. You mean like barely ever listening to direction? Going off with your own plans? Trying to wrangle the stragglers to join in your shenanigans? Hey, that maneuver worked last night, didn't it? I push back. I didn't say it was a bad idea, Gaius hedges. Different isn't always bad. I huff. Well, I guess it doesn't work out for everyone, does it? Just look at what happened to the Mystics. Banishment. That's what happened. I swallow hard. Maybe I'm just too different. I run my fingers over the pattern of scars on my arms. No matter how sharp my blade, how hard I battle for the position, how skilled I become, it will never matter. Whatever the reason, I'll always be a weak little sprite in the Gwyllian Lord's eyes. Never strong enough. Gaius sighs once more, heavy and reproachful. Quinn. I shake my head. If you want me there, you'll have to drag me kicking and screaming. Gaius stays quiet as a warm breeze blows over the beach. While words usually pour from my mouth before I even know I'm thinking them, constantly getting me in trouble, Gaius always thinks carefully before he speaks. You know, he says finally, looking out to the sea. I've seen you sneaking into the dungeons to hear stories from that pirate pixie. I bet you'd rather be out on the sea with her, having adventures. I raise a brow. I shouldn't be surprised. Though we barely look like it, we are twins after all. Still, it's scary how well he knows me, like he's inside my head, hearing my every thought. He takes a slow breath, and I brace myself for the lecture I know is coming. You can't just run away when things get hard, you know? You have to be strong? I cut him off with a huff. Well, I guess I'm just not as strong as you are. Gaius smiles. Maybe not. But sometimes strength can be weakness, and weakness can be strength. You have a different kind of strength. I know it. Someday you will too. Frustrated by his riddles, I'm about to demand what in Phelan he's talking about when he unsheaths the dagger at his side and grabs mine from where I'd cast it into the sand. Putting the two mirrored halves together, they fit perfectly to form one blade. Our mother had commissioned the original weapon before we were born, before she knew she was having twins, before her death. At our birth, she had it split in two, one for each of us, our dual daggers, the first weapons we ever handled and used to train. Forever a reminder of our connection. Two edges of the same blade. After swinging it through the air, Gaius splits the halves apart again. I'm going to need that strength of yours, Quinn. he says gently, handing me my weapon. I don't think I'd be as strong as I am if you weren't with me. Holding the dagger, all my sharp edges soften. I'd never leave you, I promise, mustering an earnest smile. His face brightens and he goes to speak again. This time, I'm the one who knows what he's thinking. I'm still not going to the ceremony. Gaius's shoulders slump, then shrug. Can't say I didn't try. He stands, sighing dramatically. I guess I'll just have to feast all by myself. Helene's been busy in the kitchen all night. I think she's even made a whole batch of lily tarts. My head snaps up. A whole batch? His eyes gleam. Maybe even 2. He's not playing fair. If I had to live on only one food for the rest of my life, it would be Helene's lily tarts. My stomach grumbles, scolding me for even thinking about missing huge helpings of my favorite dessert. I shoot to my feet. You won't have anything left to eat if I beat you there. Releasing my wings, I take off before he can respond. Ha! Gaius lets out a short laugh and shoots into the air, following close behind. As usual, Gaius gets what he wants. I make an appearance at the ceremony, but just long enough to sneak my way into the kitchen, snatch a whole plate of lily tarts, and take the servants' passageway down to the dungeons. At least the whispers of the other recruits can't reach me down there. As always, a large tapestry greets me in the torchlight. It depicts a Gwyllian soldier viciously slaying a fire-breathing dragon. The sudden sight of the dragon always sets me on edge. I shudder and quickly rush down the stairs. Another food delivery? A guard meets me at the bottom and sniffs at my covered dish. They sure keep you busy. All in a day's work. I hope he can't tell what deliciousness is hidden inside this time. He narrows his eyes, but lets me pass. Breathing a sigh of relief, I make my way to where my pixie pirate friend is kept. Aren't you supposed to be at some party? Wit's feathered wings flex as she stirs in her cell, her horns glinting in the torchlight. Catching sight of the open platter in my hands, her mouth drops. How did you get those? I know my way around the kitchen. They're too busy flitting around up there to notice one platter missing. I bite into the warm pastry, and Wit licks her lips. I hold out the treats to her. Trade you for the end of that story you started the other night? You mean the one where we went pillaging in the kobold tunnels and barely made it out alive? Yes, and then Pirate Lord Maverick flew in at the last minute with the rest of the fleet. Ah, yes. Wit eyes my platter again, chewing her lip thoughtfully. You pay so well, how can I refuse? As Wit spins her tales between bites of tart, I marvel at each of her stories. Though she isn't much older than me, she's already seen and done so much. With the dessert platter licked clean and my head full of seafaring adventures, I realize I've lost track of time. Regretfully, I bid Wit farewell and climb back up the winding passageway, weighed down by a full stomach and a longing for more stories. But opening the door to the kitchen, I come face to face with a very unhappy Gaius. It's so rare to see him with such a frown, I almost don't recognize him. Of course you're here. Have you been down there all this time? He whispers crossly. Nudging me back into the stairway, he closes the door, cutting us off from the staff and hundreds of Gwyllian folk in the next room before anyone can notice us. I sigh. He's only a minute older than me, yet he still acts like years separate us instead of seconds. I was just visiting Wit. I try to defend myself. She's all alone down there with all those criminals. She's a criminal, Quinn. She stole because she was hungry, Gaius, not because she's some diabolical lowlife. She's a pirate, he says firmly, struggling to keep the annoyance from his voice. And while you've been off listening to stories, I've been making excuses for you for over an hour. Come on, I don't want you going down there anymore. He reaches for my hand. I'm not going. I pull away. I don't want to go anywhere with him while he's acting like this. Quinn, sometimes we have a responsibility to do things we don't want to do. He folds his arms, his tone threatening to rise. "No!" I grit my teeth, my fists growing clammy and hot. "You're the one with the responsibility. You're the one who's going to make something of himself, not me. Faden has made that very clear." "Quinn, stop it. You're not being fair." "Fair?" My voice rises, echoing off the stone walls. "I'll tell you what's not fair." My blood blazes under my skin as I picture Lord Faden's solemn face. "I'm not even worthy enough to be a guard in his ranks, Gaius. And you know why? Because I'm a screw-up. I know it, he knows it. But I won't give him the pleasure of seeing my face as he announces it to the world." "Quinn." Gaius glances back at the door. "Keep your voice down. You don't understand." "No, you don't understand!" I shriek, hot tears streaming down my cheeks. "No one understands!" Gaius's face softens. He reaches toward me again, probably to extend an arm of comfort. But I push him away, all the anguish in my heart rushing through my chest to my arms. My hands are burning. I cry out in pain as a flash of heat and light release from them, a torrent of orange and red. I reel back, watching in horror as flames shoot from my hands and fling Gaius back, his head smacking against the wall with a sickening crack. Just as quickly as the flames explode, they extinguish, and Gaius's body collapses to the ground. Smoke rises from his clothes and skin. "Gaius!" I rush to his side. I reach out, but pull my hands back, terrified of hurting him again. What in Phelan just happened? I rock back and forth, wrapping my hands around my body instead. "Gaius, please!" My voice trembles and breaks. His eyes don't open. He isn't moving. This isn't happening. "Help! Somebody help!" In moments, the dungeon guard emerges from the stairway, and another appears from the kitchen. "What happened?" barks one, while the other stands with his mouth agape. Before I can answer, Lord Faden barges through the door.
"What's going on here? How dare you leave your posts when I specifically commanded?"
His broad arms push the guards aside as if they're rag dolls, but the sight of Gaius on the ground silences him. His dark eyes ignite, the muscles in his neck straining with a panic I've never seen before. Turning to me, his ever-stern mouth opens, then twists with fury under his beard. I found him like this, just a moment ago," I stammer, but my youngling tongue has not yet mastered the art of lying. I try again. "I swear, I don't know what happened, Father." I shut my mouth. The general never likes when Gaius or I call him father, especially not in front of the other troops. But I don't need a general or the Gwyllian Lord right now. I need my father. Faden's eyes narrow, but not at the paternal title I've carelessly used. They focus downward. He's staring at my hands. He can't know. Can he? He turns to the guards.
"Don't just stand there! Get the prince to the infirmary!"
They spring into action, lifting Gaius's limp body just as he stirs and grabs for my arm. Relief washes over me, though the potent smell of smoke and the sight of his burns tells me it's going to be a long recovery.
"Quinn, it's okay. Don't..."
Gaius's voice is hoarse as he tries to speak, but as quickly as his eyes opened, they roll back into his head.
"No!"
Lord Faden demands.
"And send someone back who will guard their posts properly."
They rush through the door, but my father remains, his face now blank. I take a breath, ready to defend myself again, but no words come. Faden takes one last look at my hands.
"I'll deal with you later,"
he snarls, then storms out the stone door, letting it slam. Alone, I run my fingers over my palms. They're cool to the touch, not a singed spot on them. Though the pain was excruciating, the flames didn't leave a mark, as if it was magic. All the stories told to me as a little sprite about the magic-loving mystics come rushing back. Stories of their ability to produce fire out of thin air, like the dragons they believed all Gwyllians to be descendants from. I thought the tales were only myths, but my brother's burns are not my imagination. My mind races. What if Faden knew I had this ability all along? Could that be why he rejected me from the Gwyllian Guard? Why I've been stifled all my life? Maybe he wasn't trying to protect his daughter from the dangers of the world. He was trying to protect the world from me. To protect himself. I'm not only a screw-up and a continual disappointment. I'm dangerous. I look at my hands. No wonder our clan hates magic. I hurt my own brother with it. The future captain of the Gwyllian army. The next Gwyllian lord. Who knows what Faden will do to me now? I curse. I can't go back to the celebration, and I can't stay here. Even if I somehow have the Mystic's fire abilities, the Mystics are long gone. And if it isn't that, what else can it be? I look back at the stairway, and before I know it, I'm running. I run to the cell keys that always dangle on the far wall. It won't be long until a guard returns to the dungeon post.
Back so soon? I hope you brought more food.
These stories aren't cheap, Wit begins before she catches sight of my face. What's wrong? You still want to get out of here? I whisper. Wit lifts a brow.
Obviously. I'd also love to be the fairy queen, but that's never gonna happen.
I jingle the keys in front of her. Want to bet? Wit's eyes widen, then narrow.
And how do you expect to get me out of here with the entire city gathered upstairs?
I snort. Look, I know this fortress like the back of my hand. There's a hidden passage through the kitchen that keeps the servants out of sight. We'll be on the other side of these walls and down to the beach before they even realize you're gone.
Hidden passageways?
She crosses her arms.
You mean I've been down here for nearly 2 weeks and you knew this whole—
Wit, there isn't time. I cut her off. Here's the deal. If I release you, you take me to your ship and you don't tell anyone who I am. Slowly, a grin tugs at her lips.
Are you sure? Once you turn pirate, there's no going back.
I give her the best smile I can muster despite the turmoil coiling in my chest. That's exactly what I hoped you'd say. Before stepping toward the cell, I touch the dagger at my side. This will break Gaius's heart, but he's better off without me. Besides, I'm not who he thinks I am. I never really belonged. It's time to disappear and become someone new. Something new. Wiping any last trace of tears from my face, I put the key into the lock and turn hard. I am changed. There are no tears left. Chapter 1. Alone at the bow of the mad minnow, sparks illuminate the fading daylight as I drag a whetstone down the edge of my dagger. I've been sharpening the blade for nearly an hour, trying to distract myself from the anxious twitching of my pointed ears, the way my wings beg to release and take flight. Trying is the key word. It isn't working. Steady now, I warn my fidgety wings, keeping them tucked under the bones in my back. It's just adrenaline. This is what I live for after all. The chase, the challenge. No matter which fairy clan we are sent to plunder, snatching kobold tech, pillaging dryad moon festivals, crashing nymph weddings where the fairy folk are too high on pixie dust to notice, it makes me feel alive. But this is no ordinary assignment. This is the mission that could change everything. I can't lose my head before it's even begun. I go over my objectives for the millionth time, punctuating each one with another rasp of the whetstone. Capture the Sylph ship. Bring home the chests of dust. Become the youngest captain the Pirate Lord's fleet has ever seen. Earn the freedom I've worked so hard for. My thumb runs over the hilt of my dagger. Its intricate ridges of swirling patterns are usually calming to the touch, but as the sky's colors fade, an inner light awakens. A familiar, dangerous heat churns in my stomach, warming the dagger in my hand, betraying me to memories and regrets long past. Gaius. My fist tightens around the handle at the thought of my brother. It's been 4 years since I left home, since I hurt him in more ways than one. Miles of sea between us, and I still can't escape him. As I've learned to do over the years, I swallow down the heat and force myself to breathe, letting the salty air calm the storm inside. But as the wind whistles past my ear, it's as if Gaius is standing right beside me, trying to tell me something I don't want to hear.
Shade.
A voice whispers my pirate name before I sense anyone there. Startled, I whip around with my dagger drawn. Feathered wings flutter out of reach. Familiar ones. It's just my first mate. I sheath my weapon with a curse, yanking off my hood, the same hood that usually shades my face, earning me my pirate name. Blast it, Wit! Don't you know it's dangerous sneaking up on me like that? Honestly, I'm more surprised to see her at all. We haven't sailed too far from the pirate cove, manageable flying distance. But still, I didn't expect her to make it to us in time. Not after the pirate lord sent her on a solo mission days ago. I bury the rise of jealousy under my relief in seeing her safe return.
My, someone's jumpy tonight. I figured you'd want me to report for duty straight away, Captain.
Wit gives me a dramatic bow, her stubby dryad horns accentuating the motion. She's teasing me with the premature title, but I smile at her use of it all the same. It's not without reason. Though I'm just barely 17, my Gwyllian-born strength and unmatched skill with a blade have helped me climb the pirate ranks quicker than most. After catching the pirate lord's eye, he took me under his wing, grooming me for greatness like a proud father. Or at least, that's how I imagine fathers treat the sprites they actually love. Despite his favor, however, I've still spent the last year proving myself worthy of promotion just like anyone else. Raising a crew, completing a series of missions. We've done so well, most of my crew has been calling me captain for months. But I shake my head. I'm not officially captain of the minnow yet, I remind Wit. And myself. We've got one more job to do. The ship shifts beneath our feet as I peer at the silver sea below. Since we set sail, it's been quiet. Too quiet. Like the sea herself has a secret she's trying to keep. But, like a lady scorned, the sea is never quiet for long. As the sun dips behind the distant mountains, its absence blankets us in a dense black fog. I search for a celestial guide, but it seems the sea has convinced the clouds to snuff out the moons that are usually so kind to light our way. Well played, I think to the sea with a smirk. But you've only aided our cause. While I focus on the fact that we're now cloaked from our target, all Wit can seem to pay attention to is the thunder rumbling in the distance.
Storms are brewing,
she says, squinting into the dark sky. As a rare half-breed of dryad and sylph heritage, Wit's sylph half shows not only through her feathered wings, but also in her words. Words of wisdom and warning. Two things I seldom take easily to.
Won't be an easy raid with gallons of glowing moon rain pelting our backs.
When was the last time you've actually seen it rain? I challenge. With how long this drought has carried on, I honestly don't know that we'll ever see moon rain again. Lucky for us pirates. Not so lucky for Phelan's crops.
Okay, even if you're right, how do you expect to navigate like this? You couldn't spot a leviathan in this fog.
Here we go again. I smile at the familiar scene. Since the day we met, Wit has always been cunning but perpetually cautious, constantly trying to keep me in check. It's my job, on the other hand, to push past her calculations, rally the crew, and get things done. It's been 4 years of barely ever agreeing, but somehow it works. You worry too much, my friend. I place a hand on her shoulder. Gather the crew. I've got an idea. Wit hesitates for a moment, but soon the gentle call of a sparrow escapes her lips. Wind gusts through my curls as wings of all kinds flock to us. The wings of my crew. A beautifully dangerous sampling of Phelan's 5 clans. Pirate Lord Maverick has always prided himself on collecting the strangest of the strange. Fae that refused or failed to fit their clan's beloved etho, their highest value. Their culture's core and compass. Or, in my opinion, their twisted versions of perfection. Whether kobold, dryad, nymph, Gwyllian, or sylph-born, Maverick has trained his recruits to terrorize the clans that despise them. Even forsaken half-breeds like Wit. Tonight, I stare into the eyes of folk I've recruited the same way.
"What's the plan?"
Zale asks with a crooked grin. The large puck cracks his knuckles as the gills on his neck pulse with anticipation. After being shunned by his fellow nymphs for his hunched back and misshapen face, Zale is always ready for a fight, any additional wounds only adding to his unique appearance. But where his former clan had been repulsed at his lack of traditional beauty, I admire each new scar. It's part of his charm.
"Whatever it is, we're ready."
Mira places a delicate hand on her brother's shoulder. Though her soft curves and luscious lips make her the epitome of the nymphic ideal, Mira didn't think twice about leaving her clan when her brother wasn't accepted. Zale squeezes her hand, their bond an ever-comforting but stabbing reminder of what Gaius and I once had.
"Cannons are loaded and at the ready."
Colt appears around Zale's large frame, brushing off cannon powder from his trousers and hooved feet.
"Please tell me I get to blow something up tonight."
I smile. Colt's affinity for explosives might have gotten him banished from the life-protecting dryads, but it's a gift that I value greatly here on the seas. I search the gathering for our newest and smallest recruit. Luna. I beckon her forward. Her kobold eyes glow like the moon's, illuminating her determined expression. Used to her former home underground, the darkness only strengthens Luna's sight, and her resolve to prove herself. She may not have lived up to the eccentric imaginations of her clanfolk, but she's as loyal as the day is long, ready to use her kobold gifts for our cause. You're our eyes tonight. I motion toward the fog. Find our prey. My pleasure, Captain. She flashes me a toothy grin. I struggle to hold back a smile of my own. It isn't just the title of captain on her lips that fills me with pride. Watching Luna, I see something else. I see myself. Though I left my clan of my own accord, we're all outcasts, whether by force or by choice. Misfits, nomads, desperately wanting somewhere to belong. The clans may have viciously named us vagrants, but this crew is our very own clan, this ship our ever-traveling home, and I, their leader. At least for now.
"They've come far in one short year,"
Wit comments quietly, nodding to the rest of the crew. They're as still as stars, their hands hovering over their weapons, awaiting my next command. They have indeed, I say. To the rest of the pirate fleet's dismay, of course. Wit snickers in agreement. Anxious to see me fail, the more seasoned captains always snatched up the best recruits, leaving me the youngest and most inexperienced to choose from. But I've welcomed them with open arms. They're the hungriest, the most moldable. Wit and I also made sure to recruit many pixies like us. We were determined to show the male-dominated fleet that female fae are just as capable at fighting and swindling as pucks. And under my rigorous Gwyllian training, that's exactly what we've done.
"Did you see their particularly sour scowls at our last bounty?"
Wit says.
"Not bad for a bunch of younglings."
Ah, yes. I don't think I'll ever tire of that. And that reminds me. I move behind the helm, reaching for the sack I've stowed away. Wit gives me a look, already guessing what's inside.
"This again. Do you always need to bring along some elaborate costume?"
When my hood became too recognizable, I started creating a new disguise for each of our missions, hiding my face from all but Maverick's fleet. In my 4 years as a pirate, no one's been able to capture my true face. No one I left alive, at least. And I plan to keep it that way. No one can learn who I truly am, what I can do, what I've done. Oh, come on, you know how much I love theatrics. And it's worked so far, hasn't it? Most fae are convinced Captain Shade is a puck, among other things. With a sly grin, I pull a folded piece of parchment out of my pocket and open it with a flick of my wrist, revealing a wanted poster. In the dark, my eyes have adjusted, and I can just make out the black, fish-like eyes and long, crooked nose of the culprit who stares back at us. Wit spurts out a muffled laugh at the ridiculous sketch, but also at the name printed below it.
Captain Shade, Menace of the 5 Provinces, she reads. They've added to your title as of late. I can't believe Maverick hasn't said a word since these started popping up all over Phelan.
He'd never say so, but I think he quite likes them. I smile at the thought.
I've only added to the fear Phelinians have for pirates, after all.
Besides, it gives the crew something fun to do. Ever since we came across my first wanted poster, the crew has made a game out of collecting and trading them. Each iteration seems to grow more bizarre and comical than the last, making for much-needed nights of laughter.
So, what disguise you going with tonight?
Wit sighs. Tonight, I honor the one faerie who, at the end of all this, will finally call me captain. Opening up the sack, I pull out a lump of thick black fabric lined with silver trim, one of the iconic cloaks of Pirate Lord Maverick himself.
How in Phelan did you get that?
Wit's eyes widen. In the dark, it's hard to tell if it's with admiration or terror at what Maverick might do if he finds out. I'm just borrowing it. Fastening the clasp around my neck, I imagine him announcing my new title to the entire fleet. A title to replace the one I lost long ago.
You're practically swimming in it.
Wit tries not to laugh.
Don't you think it might impede your movements? Remember when you insisted on wearing those antlers? We were nearly captured by the dryads when you got them caught in a tree branch.
Captain! Luna's voice snaps us to attention. She's pointing to a cluster of bouncing lights in the distance, cutting through the murky mist. A ship's foolishly lit lantern calls to us like a lighthouse beckoning its sailors home.
Positions, mates!
I dart to the helm.
We have our heading!
The crew flies through the dark, to the deck and into the rigging. Blades, hooks, and maces are all in hand as lightning streaks the sky. As usual, no moon rain comes. But even without it, the winds pick up and churn the sea until the minnow rocks and creaks beneath my feet. With every inch we gain on our target, the waves grow larger, crashing onto the deck as if daring us to proceed. Flurries of wings dart back and forth as the crew works to keep the storm from pulling our little ship apart.
It's the work of the Numa,
some call over the increasing winds.
They must not want us to capture this ship.
What if they've cursed it?
I shake my head. They're my crew, but they're a superstitious rabble, the lot of them. And it doesn't help that Wit, our self-instituted storyteller, is constantly filling their heads with dryad fables. Sure, the Silver Sea might act like she has a will of her own, but at least we can see her. The Numa are a different story. We're not turning back because of some mystical giants. Foolish fairy tales to frighten sprites into obedience they are. Do you know why they call them fairy tales? I relinquish the helm to Wit as they stare blankly. Because fairies don't have tails.
Hey!
Zale calls from where he sits in the rigging. He shifts his legs into his nymph fin tail and waves it for all to see. I point my sword in his direction. Changelings don't count, Zale. Now get your team in the water and make sure none of your folk are down there stirring up trouble. His shoulders sag, but he motions to Mira and the other nymphs in our crew, and they dive into the water. I scowl. It would be just like the nymph clan to try and ruin my night. As we're constantly fighting for the sea's domain, they aren't exactly my biggest fans.
Shade!
Wit struggles with the helm.
Numa or not, the minnow is barely holding together, and the battle hasn't even begun. Maybe we should turn back?
I glare. She knows failure is not an option. If we return empty-handed, we'll be back hoisting anchor on some other captain's ship. For good this time. Is that what you want? All our hard work lost to the wind? Not to mention my title. But I don't say that part out loud.
Captain!
Colt's hooved feet sprint up the stairs as he pushes his drenched mane out of his face.
Cannons are secure, but not for long. What now?
I follow Colt's gaze to my supposedly fearless crew on the lower decks. They reverted to the fearful states in which I found many of them, huddling together with wide, frightened eyes. I cross my arms, ready to scold them like they're my own sprites, though my still-developing wings prove I'm not much older.
Now listen here. Like us, the minnow is small, but she is fierce.
I pace, the wooden floorboards groaning beneath my feet.
And we all know Captain Maverick won't accept excuses of storms or mythical forces, especially when it comes to pixie dust.
They grumble begrudging agreements. Usually just mentioning the dust ignites their eyes with desire and determination. But it's as if their courage has washed away with the waves. Or perhaps my lust for captaincy is finally pushing me to the edge of recklessness. Unsure which is more likely, I fly down to them. Just imagine it. Success tonight means our next mission will be of our choosing, and half the plunder will be ours for whatever we wish. Before you know it, we'll be living more lavishly than the fairy queen herself. Who's with me? Though Luna shivers, fighting the cold and the fear of her first storm at sea, she steps forward.
I'm with you, Captain.
One by one, the others follow. I smile. We can do this. Lightning strikes. It illuminates our target as it cuts through the fog, only a few yards away. Colt stands ready by a cannon. He nods, and I yank my cutlass from my waist and lift it with a shout.
Fire!
Chapter 2. Our first cannon booms, and my heart flutters as the blast lights up the dark sky like fireworks. The opposing vessel rocks from the impact, ship shards exploding into the air, and my crew charges with a terrifying cry.
No fear, mates! We can't lose the dust on that ship!
My commands carry over the symphony of crashing waves, shouting fairies, and clanging swords. Music to my ears. I fly to the lookout nest for a better vantage point and grip the rigging, the storm below threatening to engulf us. As the Fae on the opposing ship scramble for their weapons, the same crewmates who giggle over my wanted posters like little sprites ram into their targets. Just as I've trained them, they attack the ship like a well-oiled machine. Even Luna is fighting a fairy twice her size. She disarms him with 3 swift thrusts of her blade, a move I taught her just last week. I beam with pride. Even as a wave attempts to knock me off my seafaring throne and drag me to the depths, I regain my footing and cackle wildly into the night, reveling in the sound much of Phelan has grown to fear. If only they could put my laugh on the wanted posters. The sylph flag atop the opposing vessel, however, spoils my mood. The half-sun, half-moon symbol mockingly flaps in the breeze, and I spit in its direction. The sylphs may excel in intellect, but they're a bunch of spoiled socialites at best. Claiming to be the only clan fit to rule, they hoard heaps of pixie dust to sustain their precious floating city, while the other clans suffer. No wonder whispers of uprising have spread through Phelan like the plague.
Shade! A little help down here!
Wit calls from below. Colt's white-knuckling the helm as Wit defends against a band of sylph invaders. How did they break through our ranks? I look for reinforcements, but those who aren't battling on the other ship are busy with the cannons. No matter. I can handle this. Unsheathing my cutlass, I dart below with a howl, landing at Wit's back. She glances my way, and I give her a nod. Just as we've done for years, we slice and bend like a whipping wind, anticipating each other's moves as we take down each feather-winged invader. Even with the tang of blood in my mouth and the salty wind stinging my eyes, my fervor only grows with each bone-jarring rattle of sword-hitting sword. My chest heaves as I cut down the last of them, only to see a stocky sylph leading another battalion toward our ship through the harsh winds.
I don't know how much longer I can keep this up,
Wit says between labored breaths. She thrusts her horns toward the lack of cannon fire.
And it sounds like we're running out of ammo.
No. I shake my head. We're not going home without that dust. Wit, what does Maverick always say? I ask. She hesitates, frowning at the impish grin on my face.
When at first you don't succeed, sail far, far away.
I roll my eyes and start to correct her, but stop. The same stocky sylph breaks through the fog with his crew. He's heading straight toward Wit, his broadsword drawn. Pulling the hood of Maverick's cloak farther over my face, I knock Wit out of range and leap off the ship. The bones in my back lift as I release my dragon-like wings into a glide, meeting the guard in the air. Our blades collide in an explosion of sparks. He's not any more skilled than the others, but he's strong for a sylph. His strikes hit hard. I match them blow for blow, but my wings falter. I gasp for breath. Maverick's cloak is heavier than I thought, and I haven't recovered from the last fight. Okay, no more playing around. As our swords clash again, I pull out my hidden dagger. I swipe up, feeling resistance. My blade cuts through skin. The sylph juts back and cries out, reaching for his face. I release my menacing cackle.
Captain Shade,
He snarls, struggling to stay airborne.
the fairy queen will reward me well for bringing in the likes of you.
As he launches at me again, another cannon fires, lighting up his blood-spattered face. A fresh crescent-shaped slash runs down his cheek. But he halts, his expression shifting from loathing to shock. He's staring at my face. I reach for Maverick's hood, but my fingers encounter bare hair. The hood must have fallen off during the fight.
You're a pixie?
He sputters. Yes, I roll my eyes, flashing him a wicked grin. And now you're done for. He charges me, fire in his eyes, but I dash to the left and plunge my dagger into his side. I yank it out. The sylph takes one more look at me before going limp. He plummets to the sea below and the waves swallow him up. He isn't surfacing. I can't wait around any longer to make sure he doesn't, nor do I want to. Killing has never been an easy part of this pirate life, but neither is survival, or keeping myself hidden. I replace my hood and look back to the minnow. Wit is safely on deck, having wrangled enough of our crew to take on the rest of the brutes. I call back to her with another laugh, answering my earlier question in my best Maverick impression.
A pirate never retreats!
I turn to the sylph ship, where the rest of our crew is just barely holding on. My folk are skilled, but we're definitely outnumbered. We only have one option left to get that dust. I scan the fray until I spot the sylph captain bellowing orders from the safety of the upper deck as his crew keeps mine busy. He stands alone, vulnerable. I must have disposed of his last personal defense. I roll my shoulders back. Time to finish this. Zale and Mira appear in the waters below. Locking eyes with them, I scoop one hand under the other to signal a maneuver they know all too well. In seconds, they disappear again under the waves. I fly straight toward the sylph captain, my dragon-like wings casting an ominous shadow. He looks up just as I pounce and kick him as hard as I can to the starboard side. I point my cutlass at his heaving chest.
I think it's time you surrender,
I say in a low tone. Though he's against the railing, struggling to stand, he lifts his sword to meet mine. The captain has the audacity to laugh.
Really? And pray tell, why is that? Just because you got a cheap shot in doesn't mean your crew can handle our numbers.
I shrug and point behind him.
You should probably ask them.
Appearing over the side of the ship, Zale brings his muscled arm down against the captain's, causing his cutlass to clatter to the deck. Before the sylph captain can react, Mira is at his throat with her knife. After swimming under the ship and climbing up the other side, they were able to board with no one the wiser.
My friends won't be asking you twice,
I warn him. Mira pulls the knife close enough to draw blood. Zale sneers. Eyes wide, the sylph's throat bobs.
So stand down,
he calls to his crew.
We surrender.
As day breaks, my crew is spent, and the minnow is a mess. But we've won, and our prize will make it all worth it. Even the once raging sea admits defeat as a gentle breeze blows across the stilled waters and caresses my cheek like a kiss. A satisfied sigh escapes my lips. Yes, for all its dangers, I'd still choose a life on the sea over anywhere on land. Standing on the minnow, I watch my crew tie up the surrendered sylphs around their ship's mast, making sure to gag them tightly. The Fairy Queen's guards have been bested by a bunch of younglings. I smirk. The Royal Army has nothing on the crews of the great pirate lord, especially my crew. They were trained by me, of course. Colt appears at my side.
Wit's helping secure the rabble, but here's her report. Damage? Some torn sails and holes on the port side. A few banged up wings, some arms and slings. But we didn't lose one buccaneer.
Relief and pride wash over me as the rest of our lot brings aboard the chests of sparkling pixie dust. Its alluring scent wafts into my nose, a sugary aroma of all things sweet and tempting, yet light as air itself. It's the pure stuff. Luna scoops up a handful of the powdered crystals and takes a deep whiff, her body starting to float without the use of her wings. Really pure? Luna would know. Mined in the dark depths of the kobold tunnels, there's nothing like smoking a pipe of fresh dust as the rush and soothing calm takes over. Once the greatest source of trade, Phelan depends on it for fuel, medicines, incantations, and more. Growing rarer and more valuable by the day, clans fight over and hoard it as black market bidding shoots sky high. These days, acquiring any of it is a victory.
Don't hog it all.
Zale pushes Luna aside, readying for a whiff.
Pass it around,
Others shout. No one's getting any until it's delivered to Maverick, I command. Now, let's make sure those sylphs are packaged up tightly for Her Majesty to find after we're long gone. Wit? She's close by, but her gaze is blank and far off. Wit? I wave my hand in her face. She snaps to attention. Captain? What's wrong? She shakes her head, her winning smile returning. Nothing. I'll ensure the crew secures the ship. Wit is a skilled liar, although she prefers the term storyteller, a skill that's often been the difference between life and death. But I know her better than anyone. Her eyes don't quite match her smile. I pull her aside. Look, whatever you're hiding, you can tell me. This isn't my secret. Wit looks down, fumbling with the switchblade in her hands. I nod her on. When I was interrogating one of the guards, I asked where they were taking the dust. After much convincing, she wipes off some blood from the weapon. He admitted where they were bringing it. I watch her squirm. This isn't like her at all, and it makes my stomach clench. Blast it, Wit. I pound my fist on the railing. You know I don't have a drop of patience in my blood. If it's not a secret of yours, spit it out. Wit meets my eyes, her ashen face silencing me. The sylph vessel. It was heading to Gwyllian territory. She speaks slowly, as if any wrong word might cause me to crumble. They were bringing the dust as a funeral tribute. I freeze, an icy chill rushing through my entire body. Gaius is dead. Chapter 3. Gaius is dead. Wit's words slam into me like a wave, and I stumble back into the railing, gripping it hard. I command myself to breathe, trying to picture my brother's vibrant face, the sound of his reassuring voice. I wait for his whispers on the wind, but the air is stale. I grab for my dagger, the only lifeline I have left to my twin. It's ice in my hand. I shake my head. No, this isn't real. It's just a fearful thought surfacing from my subconscious. A dream. A nightmare. I squeeze my eyes shut, desperate to wake up to my own screams in a sweaty, tangled mess of sheets on the floor. But none of that happens. Instead, I feel the rush of battle dissipating, exhaustion taking its place. An exhaustion that proves I'm very much awake, in the worst nightmare of all. My muscles lock, mouth dry, brain racing. It can't be. I ran away from Grey Marrow to keep Gaius safe. Safe from me, so he could do what he was always destined to do. Not just become captain of the guard, but eventually the next Gwyllian lord, following in the footsteps of our father. Lord Faden, As I picture the persistent glower that still haunts my dreams, a furious shudder runs down my spine. Though I was a princess, an equal heir with Gaius, Phaedon would have never put me on the throne. Not only was I a disappointing soldier to him, but also a disappointing daughter. I thought I could at least gain his favor by earning the rank of captain of the guard. Gaius would rule, and I would be his right hand. But that would never come to pass, especially not after what I'd done to my brother. That and the fact that months after my disappearance, I'd heard Phaedon had declared me dead. But none of that matters now. Is this how Gaius felt when he thought I was dead? I shake off the thought and look at the Sylph ship, trying to make sense of it all. The dust I've plundered isn't just any pixie dust. It's meant to honor Gaius. There's no reason the Sylph Guard would lie. Phelan tradition calls for all clans to bring a tribute to a royal funeral, and no matter the level of conflict, tradition always rules in Phelan. Gaius is really gone. How did he... I cough out the words.
Gaius was training for the Ethodine when it happened.
My mind shoots to the competition every port has been buzzing about for weeks. An ancient event where the eldest heirs of every clan used to face off in a series of dangerous trials to see who could master all the ethos, deciding which clan was fit to rule Phelan next. With clan tensions, rebellion, and threats of war on the rise, the high and mighty Sylph leader, the fairy queen of all Phelan herself, had done the unthinkable. She reluctantly agreed to resurrect the Ethodine. Even more surprisingly, she'd also agreed with the clan's final demand. Whichever heir wins, their clan will rule permanently. When I'd first heard the news, I'd laughed. I hate the Sylphs as much as the next fairy, but every clan has their faults. Being in my line of work, I see them all. None of them are fit to rule, and holding a pointless competition isn't going to change that. Besides, it's almost a pity that we might soon return to peace. These tumultuous times have been kind to the pirates. With every clan at each other's throats, it's been that much easier for crime to slip by unnoticed. Or at least, there's always another clan to pin the blame on. But I'm not laughing now. Which of them killed him? I swear, whoever it was, I'll... Though I'm fuming, Wit remains calm.
Shade. He contracted the gnolls before the competition could even start.
My face falls. The gnolls plague? The rare fairy-killing disease rises and falls as quickly as a knoll on a hillside. With no direct cause or cure discovered yet, once he caught it, Gaius didn't have a chance. I look to the waters, but I can feel Wit's eyes on me. He'd passed within a week. She places a hand on mine. The funeral is at dusk. I lick my lips, searching for words. I have to go. Wit throws her hands up. And this is exactly why I didn't want to tell you. Clasping them together in a dryad pose of peace, she tries to calm herself, taking a deep breath. For once in your life, listen to me, okay? Returning is practically suicide. More like inciting homicide. If I return, who knows what Phaedon will do to me. As I picture the Gwyllian Lord, heat singes my fingertips, and I hiss in pain. Anger rises, the heat threatening to release. A heat I've successfully kept at bay for 4 years. I see Gaius on the ground again, smoldering in smoke, and my breath hitches. That disaster was my fault. But this one is Phaedon's. The gnolls is something the malnourished or weak contract. Not strong, healthy Gwyllian princes. The only reason Gaius could have gotten it was if Phaedon pushed him too hard in training, expected too much, blind to the consequences. Everything I've seen the Gwyllian Lord do before. I run my hands along my scarred arms. It could have been me. It should have been me. That settles it. Even though I know it will only aggravate her more, I move to the helm, ignoring Wit's piercing stare. She sighs, knowing I'll do whatever I want in the end. I have to go, not only to say goodbye, but also to make His Highness pay. We just have to be smart about it. As I look toward the Gwillian province embedded in the distant mountains, the burning in my hands grows. I clench them into fists, nails digging into my skin until I think they might draw blood. Let's ready the crew, I tell Wit. I have a plan.
Strip the sylphs of their uniforms.
My boots pound down the weather-worn deck, and my crew's celebration comes to a halt. Wit trails close behind, but I don't give her time to interject as I dole out orders.
Line up those dust chests and bring up every barrel of rum you can find.
Some of the crew looks at me as if I've gone mad, but I give them a warning glare. They scatter to obey. A group emerges from below with the rum first.
"Here you go, Captain,"
says Colt. Perfect. Take the pixie dust out of the chests and store them in the barrels. Colt looks at the others, then tilts his head at me.
"And what do you want us to do with the rum?"
Dump it overboard.
"What?"
The whole deck explodes into an uproar. I put my head in my hand. Maybe I should have explained the full plan first, but I can barely think straight.
All right, calm yourselves. If you listen to me, I've got a way we can get 5 times as much rum after this next job.
"Next job?"
Zale says.
"I thought this was the next job."
Are we not headed home? Luna wrings her trembling hands. The storm must have really shaken her up. Not yet. I put a hand on her shoulder, raising my voice so all can hear.
Instead of leaving the sylphs and their ship to rot, we're going to use them to our advantage. We'll bring home more plunder than Maverick could have hoped for. Trust me.
A few hours later, I'm on the sylph ship with half my crew, sailing straight toward the mountainside, all of us decked out in royal sylph garb. The fact that I've got everyone dressed in costume this time, even Wit, is definitely lifting my spirits. Now, if only they can act the part. I breathe in deeply, the palpable tang of seaweed and impending victory in the air. Shielding my eyes from the sun, I watch the other half of our party back on the minnow as it sails farther away and disappears around the cliffside. They have the barrels of pixie dust hidden on board, along with the real sylph soldiers locked in the brig, wearing nothing but their undergarments. Picturing that actually makes me smile. Thump.
"Ow!"
Zale cries as he fumbles one of the chests onto his toes. Don't forget to lift those like they're extra heavy when we reach land, I remind the crew, who are preparing the now empty chests. Are you sure about this? Wit asks from beside me. I nod as convincingly as I can. It's a good plan. It's your plan. Exactly. I grin. Dressed as sylphs, carrying the chests in as a tribute, you'll have no problem gaining access to the treasury. With the funeral, there will be more guards than usual, but this crew can take them. Fill the chests with as much plunder as you can carry and exit through the same passageway we used when I helped you escape the dungeons. I swallow hard, trying to forget that I'd also been running from the vision of Gaius's body smoldering on the floor. And what will you be doing? Wit's question brings me back to my plan for redemption and revenge. I'll be at the funeral with a few of the mates. We'll pickpocket the crowd for extra loot. If anything goes wrong for either of us, we'll use our sparrow call. Wit considers me for a moment, like she can tell I'm not sharing everything. I avert my eyes. If I tell her what I'm really up to, what I'm truly aiming to steal, she'll just try to stop me. I can't have that. She wouldn't understand. She'd call it an unnecessary risk. But for me, it's worth more than all our plunder combined. Maverick can have all the loot this time, but the item I desire is priceless. After a moment, Wit nods passively, knowing she can't change my mind. It'll be fine, just like all our other missions. She'll see. Sure, my impulsiveness sometimes gets us into trouble, but if everything goes according to plan,
Maverick will be more than pleased with our plunder, and Faden will be punished for Gaius's death. If only I could see Faden's face when he realizes his treasury has been robbed from right under his nose. But we'll be long gone by then. My confidence quickly diminishes as a familiar beach at the base of the mountains comes into view. The long stretch of sand is not only for merchant ships, but is also where the Gwyllians' royal funerals take place. I exhale, and my breath takes a misty form in the cool mountain air. Memories flood back in a rush, and I grip my dagger tighter to keep my hand from shaking. I try to picture Gaius's face, but it's been so long. The one thing that never fades from my memory, though, is his kindness. Always the understanding one, cool and collected. My twin, but my opposite in every way. At times, the puck frustrated me to no end, but even so, he'd been my best friend. My only friend in that soulless place. The only one I regretted leaving. The one I'd betrayed. I lick my lips, regretting dumping all our rum into the sea. I could really use something to take the edge off. I nod toward the beach, trying to distract myself from all the things that could go wrong. Remember the first day we met? I ask Wit. She chuckles. Do you ever let me forget? I still can't believe you got caught stealing from the fishmongers. You're lucky I was there. They would have taken your hands for sure. You'd probably still be rotting in that cell if I hadn't saved you. Wit scoffs. As I remember it, I was the one who saved you. You were the one begging me to take you with me. She looks to the mountains she pulled me from. You were more caged than I was. Caged, I repeat softly. Always under close surveillance. Suffocated, stifled. Feeling short of breath even now, I inhale the sea air. You're right, I concede. Wit's brows rise in surprise. I don't like to admit it, but it's true. She saved me, and it didn't stop with that day. Wit has always had my back. Whether I've said something out of turn to Maverick or mucked up a mission, she's always there to get me out of a jam. I try to muster the words to thank her for being such a good friend, my only true friend since Gaius, and for keeping my secrets all these years. But expressing my feelings has never been my strong suit. Good old Gwyllian upbringing made sure of that. And before I know it, like a wave on the sea, the moment passes. Wit shakes her head, lowering her voice to a whisper so no one else can hear. Someday, Quinn, she says. Someday, I fear you're going to get yourself in too deep. So deep that even I won't be able to pull you out. Her smirk is laced with a hint of sadness. I hope you know what you're doing. Me too, I almost say. I lean on the railing, staring at the beach where I'll soon face all I've left behind. My next words come out more confident than I feel. Don't worry, I do. I wait for Wit's clever remark. It's pretty much a given when I'm being this cocky. But when there isn't a reason to speak, she doesn't. We make port, and the crew unloads the chests onto the beach as I get into character. While the rest of the crew are dressed as common sylph soldiers, their varied wings retracted into their backs, I proudly wear the garb of the sylph captain. Donning his large feathered hat should be the greatest thrill yet. Soon, I'll be wearing one of my own. I will myself to focus on that instead of the fear seeping in. But though the wide brim casts a concealing shadow over my face, I still feel exposed. I pace back and forth on the dock, perfecting my captain-like stride and voice. Be careful with that cargo, I say in a deep tone, obnoxiously accentuating each consonant and syllable as any snobbish sylph would. Wit gives me a look at my attempted accent, and I jump down to join her. That bad, huh? I ask. She purses her lips. I'd keep working on it. I look for the small team that will remain at the funeral with me. Before we landed, I directed Mira, Colt, and Luna to fly over and hide in specific positions at the site. I can't see them, which is the point, but I pull my hat low over my face and let out our crew's sparrow call. I hear 3 successively in return. Good. They're ready. Another sound bellows through the air. The steady rhythm of a Gwyllian drum. I freeze as the ominous beat bounces off the mountains, resounding in my chest. The funeral has begun. Chapter 4. As the drumbeat sustains, growing louder every moment, fae from all clans answer the call, making their way onto the beach. Time to make sure my team is at their posts. I look toward the movement in the water first, where I know Mira has been waiting. Though I've witnessed a royal funeral before, a great crowd of fae suddenly arriving out of the sea still sets my teeth on edge. Their fishtails transform into legs, their skin changing from tinted blue to flesh colors as they dry in the sun. The Nymph Clan. As planned, Mira melds seamlessly into their ranks, her fin-like wings draped along her back like an elegant cape. Like those in her former clan, a shimmering, wrapped chitin clings to her body, allowing her to morph in and out of her fish-tailed form with ease. She'll be able to pickpocket much better if she looks like one of her own. As the nymphs climb the banks, some lift seashell instruments to their lips as Mira joins in with the chorus of enchanting voices, overwhelming the beach with a traditional funeral dirge. It's void of distinguishable words, but my heart still twists at the tragically beautiful melody. I turn to the woods next, where a large group of dryads have emerged, and I catch Colt slyly bringing up the rear. It was hard to spot him at first in the sea of green clothing and tattooed bodies blending into the wooded scene. But out on the beach, their unique features are present for all to see. Like Colt's hooved feet, many of them have animalistic features. Horns, antlers, and whiskers alike don't just belong to the tamed beasts that follow at their sides. As the incense they carry fills the air, Colt follows his folk in lowering his translucent wings in solemn respect for the loss of sacred life. But however peaceful and serene they seem, I know they'll be ready to pounce with a vengeance at the first sign of aggression. As the dryads pass a nearby cave, I balk at a throng of beady glowing eyes peering out from the darkness. But it's just the kobold clan emerging from the cavern. It's one of the many entrances to the surface from their tunnels below. I smile as little Luna sneaks into the throng from a bush beside the opening, spreading her leathery bat-like wings like the others. She blends in nicely with her patchwork clothing of colors, buttons, and straps. She also dons a common kobold cap and goggles that keep their heads and sensitive eyes protected while underground. A gong sounds, pulling all gazes upward. My breath catches as a crowd of Gwyllians parade from the city above, down the steep mountain path right toward us. I freeze, the sight more overwhelming than I anticipated. My feet sink into the sand, and I almost wish the beach would give way and swallow me whole. The world moves in slow motion as my folk march as one synchronized unit. They follow those at the front carrying an iron casket, meant to protect others from the disease that killed the one inside. Though the body is hidden from view, my heart sinks. Gaius. Of course, I knew this day would come eventually. No fairy lives forever. I just thought we'd both get to a good old age, that I would have gotten the chance to say goodbye, to apologize. My hands grow hot and sweaty. I focus on the waves lapping against the shore, the sound calming me. I'll reserve that kind of anger for the one who truly deserves it. Then, at the back of the procession, I spot him. Lord Faden, cold as steel and as pious as ever. Even at the funeral of his own son, there isn't a turning down of his mouth, just a straight, narrow, immovable line. Even through his braided beard, I see it. The rest of the clan follows his lead.
Even the sprouts at their mother's breasts and the little sprites that stand at attention around their legs keep silent. Oh, the sacred etho of the Gwyllians. Strength above all else. Their self-crafted weapons of iron and steel are their ultimate sign of strength and power, even to the point that they take their most prized weapons to the grave. As Gaius's casket passes me, I step toward it without thinking. His weapons, his symbols of strength, are mounted to the box, which means somewhere on there is the one thing I've come to take. His dagger. My hand closes around its twin at my side. My brother's legacy doesn't belong in a dark cave to rust until the end of time. No, with his dagger, I will make sure he lives on, sheathed to my side, fighting through life with me, as he always should have been.
Captain.
Wit's voice brings me back, irritation scraping through her words, like she said my name more than a few times. With the helmet of a sylph guard concealing her dryad horns, she's ready.
Are we clear to move out?
The other clans have groups already bringing their own treasures in honor of the dead. Following a battalion of Gwyllian soldiers up to the mountain city where the treasury lies, some of the dryads carry baskets of healing herbs and spices, as well as fresh meat from the woodlands. Nymphs bring precious sea glass, jewels, and pearls found only in the deepest depths of the sea. Kobolds push carts of freshly mined pixie dust. I cross my arms, sneering at the tradition, as if any amount of loot could make up for the loss of a son, especially one as loyal and honorable as Gaius. And their presents, their so-called gifts, only add insult to injury. I'm sure they're all silently celebrating the fact they have one less clan to compete with for the crown. I nod to Wit, and her team joins the procession with their empty chests, making sure to walk as if they are heavy with dust. While the procession was lengthy, the actual funeral will be quick. Just long enough to show honor without wasting time on emotional weakness. My troop won't have long to finish the deed. As I disappear into the crowd, I take note of my team of 3, and the Gwyllian guards who move through the crowd toward the front. Colt, Luna, and Mira hold still, all eyeing me until I wipe my brow, the signal that it's safe to act. Slowly and slyly, they begin pickpocketing with subtle movements that only I can discern. My target, however, is at the front. Brushing up against all kinds of fae has become normal for me, but I can tell it's a rare and uncomfortable sight for most others, especially the toddling sprites and adolescent younglings who rarely see fae other than their own kind. With a variety of sizes, shapes, and skin colors in each clan, it would be harder to tell the clans apart without their clothes and wings. But today, they flaunt their wings and clan garb, eyeing each other with caution. If I'd been a true sylph, I'd be showing off large feathered wings like the high-flying birds in the Sky City. But I am no sylph. I keep my Gwyllian wings hidden under my wing bones as my weapon-wielding clan proudly stretches theirs out, resembling the most powerful and intimidating creature in all of Phelan, the wings of a dragon. At the front, the clan leaders approach a nearby ledge jutting off the mountainside. The nymph, kobold, and dryad lords take the stone-carved seats that are set for them, with Phaedon following close behind. Then the sylph leader steps up to join them, the Queen of Phelan herself. Soft gasps drift through the crowd as the tall figure takes a seat next to Phaedon, her white feathered wings gleaming brightly against the dark mountainside. I'm as surprised as anyone. The Queen is an elusive creature these days. The list of rumors about her are as long as the train of her purple gown. After the deaths of her 3 late husbands, debates over her possible involvement has only fueled the increasing division between the clans, though no evidence ever surfaced. While some pity her, believing her to be cursed with bad luck, I've heard others go as far as to accuse her of murder by means of ancient dark sorcery. I thought her advisors feared for her life too much to let her leave Eldor, whispers a Gwyllian mother, squeezing the hand of her little sprite tighter.
I guess a royal funeral is enough to bring her out of hiding, scoffs another as she shushes the whimpering sprout in her arms. Or it's a decoy. I whisper it mostly to myself, but the Gwyllian mothers glare at me in my sylph attire just the same. Ignoring them, I step deeper into the crowd. I want to get a better look, but this supposed queen wears a wide-brimmed hat with so many extravagant flowers spilling over the brim that I can barely see her face. Trying to steal my look, huh? Another thought seizes me. I'm wearing the garb of one of Her Majesty's captains. I'd better be careful. I look back at the ship my crew arrived in. Another sylph ship now floats by its side. True sylph guards are definitely in the crowd by now. I'm running out of time. Pulling my hat lower over my face, I move to the edge of the crowd nearest to Gaius's casket. The closer I draw to his lifeless body, the deeper my heart sinks. The words being spoken from the front fade into the last pleasant memory I have of him on this very beach. You have a different kind of strength. His words echo back to me as I recount the promise I made, that I would never leave him, that he would always have that strength of mine. A promise I broke only hours later. What I wouldn't give to do that whole day over, to convince him to run away with me instead of flying back to the city. He'd be traveling the world with me right now instead of lying dead in a casket. Now Gaius will never leave this beach again. I have to get that dagger. Finally, my moment comes. Theoden rises from his seat and approaches the tomb in the mountain to give the eulogy. With everyone's attention on the Gwyllian lord, all eyes have pulled away from the casket. Even the pair of guards stationed around it have looked away, though they haven't moved. Not yet. My eyes comb the iron box. Swords, axes, maces, and all other forms of weaponry decorate its exterior. But I don't spot the dagger. It must be strapped to the other side. I look back through the crowd until I lock eyes with Mira, Colt, and Luna, who have slowly moved from the outskirts to the center of the crowd. I haven't told them what I'm after. All they know is I will soon signal them to act, and then we'll get out of here as quickly as we can. But the sight of Theoden approaching the tomb stops me. A single torch stands at the entrance, its flickering flame a symbol of the faerie life they honor. Remembering funerals of the past, I hold my breath for what will happen next. Extending his iron staff, Theoden extinguishes the flame. My chest tightens. Gaius is really gone. Wit once said the Dryads believe a fairy spirit lives on after this life, that they are at peace, watching over those they left behind. That's not the Gwyllian way. I've never believed it myself. But for the first time, staring at Gaius's flameless torch, I hope it does. Another gong signals the end of the funeral. It's now or never. I tip my hat to my team.
Watch where you're going, Wooder!
Luna's voice rises over the crowd as she pushes Colt. As planned, he collapses near Mira and a group of nymphs. They cry out, pulling back their elegant skirts. All eyes in the crowd turn toward them. I take a small step backward, toward the casket. A few kobolds chuckle with Luna. Dryads eye her viciously. They move to help Colt up, but he jumps to his feet and pushes Luna back with all his strength.
You first, Kobe,
he dares her.
You must be pretty high on dust to pick a fight with me.
Colt fumbles around with a mocking giggle, as if high himself. Luna takes a threatening step toward him.
Must you really be so uncivil?
Mira scolds.
At a funeral of all places.
Her folk murmur agreements as a tall nymph reaches for his long flute and flips it, revealing a sharpened tip. Taking another step back, I fold my arms, catching the eye of one of the casket guards.
This doesn't look good. Don't you think you should do something?
He doesn't answer me, but he eyes his partner, who already has a hand hovering over the hilt of his sword. Luna glares at Mira. I'd stay out of this if I were you.
She pulls out a knife. The kobolds around her follow her lead, revealing their own hidden weapons, ready for blood.
Wouldn't want to soil your pretty dress.
With that, the fae around them collide. Gwyllian guards, including those at the casket, dart into the fray to break them up. Confident my team will escape amidst the chaos, I crouch in the sand and make my way around the other side of the casket. I run my fingers over the series of weapons. But it's not here either. The dagger isn't anywhere. How is that possible? My stomach plummets, and my eyes dart to the sylph ships we arrived in. It's still vacant, the rest of my crew nowhere to be seen. They should have been back by now. I listen for Wit's sparrow call, but even if she used it, I wouldn't be able to hear it over the scuffle on the beach. I look back to the tomb where Phaedon still stands. A Gwyllian guard approaches him, and Phaedon's posture stiffens as the guard whispers in his ear. Phaedon's eyes scan the crowd and lock with mine. My heart leaps into my throat. If I take to the skies now, I'll be shot down by 1,000,000 steel arrows in seconds. Instead, I push through the crowd, my dagger drawn. Not fast enough. Breaking through to the back, I come face to face with a dozen Gwyllian guards, their swords drawn. Gwyllian guards are not like sylph guards. Sylphs train out of obligation and duty. But every Gwyllian is trained from spritehood to use a blade with extreme precision and force, never backing down from a fight. This isn't going to be easy. As I yank my cutlass from its sheath, the guards come at me from all angles. They attack as one, but I duck and dodge, keeping my smaller frame out of their reach. Listening for every sound and anticipating every move has always been one of my specialties. Jumping, turning, slicing through the air, I maneuver around every hit and block the ones I can't dodge. The crowd has now taken notice of this new battle, 1 against 10. They gape as I take 3 of them down. Ha! I cackle. You think you can bring down the great pirate shade? Gasps sound around me. My blood is buzzing. I've never had an audience of this size watching me fight before. For a moment, I let it get to my head. Wondering what Phaedon must be thinking, I just barely dodge a blade and lose my balance, falling backward into the sand. Pride before the fall. The guards don't waste a moment. Those that aren't writhing on the ground pounce immediately. One of them punches me in the face for good measure. Stunned, I let them drag me across the sand without a fight. I can't believe I've gotten caught. After 4 years, the possibility ceased to even cross my mind. Maverick is going to kill me. As Phaedon comes into view, my senses return, and I level a glower at him. The guards force me to kneel before him as they yank off my hat, my dark waves of hair falling over my shoulders. Phaedon is the only one who can see my face. I don't know what I expect to see in his. Shock? Confusion? But he doesn't even flinch. He doesn't look surprised at all. Instead, he leans in.
"Hello, Quintessa,"
Phaedon whispers, for my ears only. He stares at me with the same disappointment that used to haunt my dreams.
"Welcome home."
I bristle at the sound of the birth name I left behind long ago. Grunting against the restraints, I narrow my eyes. Hello, Father. Chapter 5. After clapping me in irons, the guards throw a cloth bag over my head, though I can still see a good deal through the holes in the woven fabric. Phaedon obviously doesn't want our clan knowing he has a pirate for a daughter. At least, not yet. As the guards lead me at spear point from the funeral up the steep mountain pass, I can already hear the whispers as we trudge through the crowded Gwyllian city. The great pirate shade has been captured. Though they can't see my face, they line the streets as I pass, pushing and straining to catch even a glimpse of the faceless pirate who's eluded the limelight for so long. They gawk as if I'm a myth come to life or a ghost back from the dead, unaware just how much of a ghost I really am.
I never would have guessed Captain Shade was a pixie. Did you see how she held her own against our soldiers?
Sure, but no pirate stands a chance against our clan.
It was about time she came to justice. Good riddance.
If only they knew the same faerie they mock as their princess, Quintessa, the lost lady of Greymarrow. When I ran away, Wit helped me chop off my hair, change my clothes, and pick a new name before bringing me to Maverick. I considered at least keeping the nickname Gaius had given me, the one our father despised, Quinn, but even that felt too close to my origins. What about Shade? Wit had motioned to the hood I'd refused to remove for fear of being recognized. I'd only shrugged. I didn't care what I was called, as long as I was free. And it stuck. Now, back in this once familiar city, even with a bag over my head, I feel utterly exposed. I avoid the wide-eyed Gwyllians as they glare and whisper, looking beyond them to study the city. At first, it appears as if nothing has changed at all. Stone shops owned by the best blade crafters in all of Phelan line the main road. My ears twitch at the nostalgic sound of hammering metal and the high-pitched whining of sharpening wheels. Even through the crowds, the heat from their forges presses against my body, quickening the pool of sweat pouring down my back. As strong as the iron and steel they wield, the Gwyllians' only civil interaction with the other clans is in trading their weapons. Although they always keep the best and newest weapons for themselves, of course. Lost in thought, I nearly trip over two Gwyllian sprites who dart into the street amidst their game of swordplay. "Watch where you're going!" I start to curse, but stop when I catch their eyes. My folk have always been muscular, strong in body and spirit, especially the young. But these sprites look half the size they should be, their clothes stained with earth and ash, the cloth hanging loose from their bodies. An older puck grabs them from the street, his expression fierce and wrinkled beyond his age. I look more closely at the rest of the crowd. Like steel, they've been beaten down, losing their luster. Phelan's dwindling resources and clan conflict hasn't been kind to them, and neither of us pirates, who often take advantage of each clan's plight. Unable to look at them any longer, I focus my attention on the mountain snowcaps, where it's rumored some of our kind once lived. Those in Greymarrow City claim that true strength must be earned through suffering, believing even the use of magic to be a crutch. So much so that most acts of magic are forbidden among our folk. Relying on it is the ultimate sign of weakness. Our brethren in the snowcaps, however, embrace the use of magic wholeheartedly, calling themselves the Mystics. Legend has it that they developed an ability to produce fire out of thin air, but those in Greymarrow rejected their ways. My folk preferred to work hard, creating fire to craft their weapons the old-fashioned way, rather than resorting to the mystic sluggard's seductively dangerous magic. Magic like mine. After my experience with it, I can't blame them. Still, the mystics claimed that all Gwyllians could wield such magic, that our fire and the similarity of our wings are evidence that we descend from the dragons themselves. But the dragons do not see us as family so much as a source of food. As we turn a corner, we pass a stretch of buildings scorched from dragonfire. I stop at the sight of a spriteling doll burnt to a crisp on the path. From the distant mountain peaks, the roar of a dragon bellows, and I shudder. Each year, the Gwyllians spend months fighting the beasts off, while others are spent rebuilding from their destruction. The mystics, on the other hand, haven't been seen in so long that many Gwyllians believe the dragons have wiped them out for good. A jerk against my arms pulls me back to the present. The guards tighten their hold as we approach the stone fortress I once called home. Like much of the city, it seems frozen in time, as dark and dreary as when I left it. But it, too, looks tired and worn. The blood-red flags have faded, and, if possible, the air is even more frigid inside, the narrow windows allowing infrequent beams of light. As we walk through the large cast-iron doors, ghosts of little Gaius and I running down the long stone hallway haunt me all the way to the one room I always hated most, the Hall of Judgment. My father passes us on the way in and heads toward his throne, high above the crowd of guards, advisors, and courtiers. I stare up at looming stone pillars, scarlet flags, and the heads of open-mouthed dragons mounted on the walls. Today, I am the one to be judged. Once seated, Phaedon spreads his dragon-like wings wide and locks eyes with me. Anyone might expect a father to be joyous over the return of a lost youngling, especially one who is supposed to be dead. But as he lifts his regal bearded chin, his nostrils flare. Not only because I've disrupted his son's funeral, but because I'm an embarrassment just for being who I am. His daughter, the vagrant, the pirate, the disappointment. As I'm led farther into the room, I spot my crew being guarded in the far corner. Even Luna, Colt, and Mira didn't escape the skirmish on the beach, and are chained to the others who were sent to the treasury. I scan their faces, searching for Wit, but I can't find her. I hope she got away to warn the others who stayed behind with the minnow, awaiting our return. Perhaps they've already fled, sailing back to Maverick right now. I wouldn't judge her for it. Wit and I always agreed if it came down to one or neither of us surviving, one of us would survive. I'd left my brother by birth in this forsaken place to die. I'm not going to let my sister in arms pay the same price. "This worked out well, mates," I joke. Some of them laugh. Gleefully, I notice my father recoil at the sound. I love that something viewed as a weakness in his eyes sets him on edge, giving my crew a level of power, even while in chains.
"It was like they knew we were coming, Captain,"
Zale whispers as I pass.
"We were ambushed,"
Another adds.
"Silence,"
Phaedon commands. The guards force me to kneel as he stares down my crew, motioning to me.
"Do you know who this is?"
I struggle against the guards, wanting to lunge at him. Don't you dare.
"This here is Captain Shade,"
Colt says, bold and proud.
"Oh yes, the famous Captain Shade,"
Phaedon says slowly.
"She is also Quintessa, the lost lady of Grey Marrow. My daughter."
He chokes out the last phrase, motioning for the removal of the bag over my head. A collective gasp settles over the room, but I'm not surprised. It's so like my father to manipulate a moment like this to serve his purposes. Fae forbid that he not control every moment of my life. My crew's mouths are agape. We all have our secrets, but I can tell that they never would have guessed this was mine. Phaedon twists one of the rings around his finger.
"At their birth, the late Lady Laffy and I were surprised that we were having not only a strong, healthy puck, but also a pixie. Twins."
A note of pride, however briefly, warms his voice. He always seemed to love telling this part when we were young. Twins are a rarity, usually a sign of good fortune. But that's where any kind of love usually ended, especially for me.
"It was in their 13th year when our dear Quintessa was taken from us."
He looks at me, but I avoid his gaze.
"We believed she had been kidnapped, perhaps by pirates. We searched far and wide, but regretfully we soon believed her to be dead."
I study his stern face. Had he really been concerned? Had he really wanted me back?
"But now it seems she's become a pirate herself, with many crimes to her name, not least of all her attempt on the treasury today."
He pauses with a dramatic sigh.
"Gwillian and Phelan Law alike leave me no choice but to severely punish her and her crew."
The Gwillian way. Never mercy, always punishment. "Of course," I say aloud so everyone can hear. "Your lost daughter is found to be alive and well, and your first thought is to send her to the dungeons.
Actually,
He says, his eyes narrowing.
Since you seem to love pixie dust so much, I thought you and your crew might enjoy working in the dust mines for the rest of your days.
My blood goes cold. No. The underground kobold tunnels are dreary enough, but being confined to the dust mines is a slow and painful death sentence. Kobolds are already used to breathing high levels of pixie dust. While it still makes them extremely eccentric, that level of exposure won't kill them. Constant inhalation for any other fairy kind, however, is the worst kind of torture. Most either die from the dust's effects or drive themselves mad enough to end their own miserable lives. Either way, it won't be pretty. Typical, I murmur under my breath.
What did you say?
Phaedon demands. The guards force my chin up to meet his eyes. I said, typical. I raise my voice. First you let Gaius die, and now it's my turn. Phaedon strides toward me, pulling back his hand. I brace myself for the slap, but I continue anyway. He wanted to please you so much he worked himself to death. Phaedon's hand stops midair, and his face slackens. Is that guilt? I hold his gaze. For once, I've won. Phaedon breathes in sharply and clenches his fists.
You left him first.
His words hit me like a ton of steel. The truth I'd been trying to stuff down all day comes up like bile in my throat. I'd left him. Gaius asked me not to leave, and I did it anyway. If I'd been here to protect him, take care of him, maybe he would still be alive. Maybe. I shake the thoughts away. My father isn't getting out of his own guilt that easily. So you'll cause the inevitable death of your only living heir, simply out of spite? We stare at each other for a long moment, the throne room silent until he speaks.
Guards, prepare this lot for the tunnels.
He waves a hand toward my crew before turning back to his throne. My crew yells and thrashes, but it's no use. They look at me with pleading eyes, hoping for one of the masterful plans I've pulled off so many times before. But my mind is blank. Every action, every word I've spoken today has only quickened their demise. No! It's the only word I can muster as guards drag them out of the room. They trusted me, and now we're all going to die because of my weakness, my need for closure and revenge. If I'd just listened to Wit and taken the Sylph ship back to Maverick in the first place, none of this would be happening. My dream of spending the rest of my days sailing the seas is going up in smoke. Phaedon's muscles relax as he settles back into his chair. You bring them back immediately, I demand, as if I am the one on the throne. Pressing his lips together, he turns to his advisors and courtiers.
Leave us.
They obey, leaving only myself and the guards at my sides.
I cannot bring your rabble back, but I have an alternative.
He wraps his ringed fingers around the arms of the throne, as if bracing himself for what he's about to say. His tense stare makes the hairs on my neck stand on end.
I spoke with the Queen before her departure, and she's agreed to let your crew go free without penalty, provided you return her Sylph guards and their ship.
He pauses.
And if you agree to take your brother's place in the Ethodine.
My eyes grow wide. The same competition that killed him?
Don't be dramatic, Quintessa. He fell ill during training. Death was inevitable.
His voice is so matter-of-fact, his face unaffected by the depth of his words. My name is Quinn, I say through gritted teeth. Your son's body hasn't been in the tomb for an hour, and you're already thinking about your precious power? At least I know I'm a criminal. Rulers like Phaedon hide their selfishness under a mask of benevolence and goodwill. The whole thing makes me sick. He doesn't deserve to sit on that throne.
Nothing will bring him back.
Phaeton's voice echoes through the hall as he fights for composure.
There's still a kingdom to run
and a world to conquer. I finish his thought. Though there are few left to judge his words, Phaeton leans in and lowers his voice.
If we don't compete, we forfeit Phelan's crown to the Sylphs, or one of the other ridiculous clans.
He throws up his hands in disgust.
Imagine the nymphs or the kobolds trying to rule a world they only see half of. Or the dryads. They'd turn us all into tree-hugging tribes.
And the Gwyllians would throw the world into a heartless frenzy. I shake my head. There's no way I want to return to court. Never mind rule all of Phelan. I've had enough trouble keeping my crew of 30 from dying at sea or being thrown into the mines. I don't need a whole world at the mercy of my decisions. But what's the alternative? Phaeton watches me struggle.
You may not be the ruler this clan wants,
he says slowly.
But you're our only choice.
I let the words sit in the air between us. It's probably the closest thing to a compliment I can ever hope to get from him. He's putting my life and the lives of my crew in my hands, and I don't have long to decide. A life in the mines, slowly losing my mind, or a life chained to my duties, caged by a crown. My father speaks again, his voice almost kind. Almost.
Gaius would have wanted you to take his place.
Even if he doesn't truly mean it, even if it's just a ploy to get me to agree, I know it's true. Gaius believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself, even when I failed time and again. I measure Phaeton up. It's not the Gwyllian way to go back on your word, but I need to make sure. If I do this, you'll let the entire crew go free? He nods. You won't pursue them afterwards.
They'll have full immunity,
he says dryly.
However, the next time they so much as fly over Gwyllian soil, I won't be so lenient.
I take a moment, sensing this is my last chance to bargain. The pixie dust, I say. The crew will be allowed to keep the sylph dust they plundered. At least this way, Maverick will get his expected shipment. The crew will be welcomed back as victors, and Maverick won't come after me for my head. Though, that fate might be a mercy compared to what my father is offering. I take a deep breath. Agree to this, and I'll do it. I'll be your pawn in the Ethodine. Phaeton hesitates, and for the first time a smug smile tugs at his lips.
Oh, your friend has already negotiated that much.
Phaeton signals, and out of the shadows come 2 guards, holding back a scrawny pixie. She's trying to say something through her gag as she jerks side to side, her stubby horns cutting through the air. Wit! I launch myself toward her as the guards yank me back. But she isn't trying to communicate with me. She's looking at Phaeton. He waves to have her gag removed, and the next words out of her mouth cut me to the heart. Phaeton, you snake! You promise she'd never find out! She seethes, nostrils flaring. I've never seen her so angry. My muscles lock, my mind ricocheting to a million things she could mean. But none of them make sense. None of them can be true.
I'm sorry, my dear, but I had to slightly adjust our deal.
Phaeton lifts his self-righteous chin.
I had to ensure my daughter would have no reason to abandon her vow and return to you.
No. My daze lifts. What in Phelan is going on here? Wit's face softens, but Phaeton speaks first.
You were always clever, Quintessa, but not very observant when your guard was down. Soon after Gaius passed, your friend visited me. I was intrigued when she claimed she could resurrect my only other heir. For a price, of course.
That's why he wasn't surprised that I was still alive. But how can that be possible? Wit was... I stare at Wit, but her head hangs low, refusing to meet my gaze. She'd been so calm when relaying the news of Gaius's funeral. Could it be that she'd already known he was dead before we even attacked the sylphs? But that would mean... She hadn't been on some solo mission from Maverick. She'd been here, plotting my demise with my own father. My mind spins.
In exchange for you, I agreed to release your crew with not only the sylph's dust, but also some of my own. I was doubtful her plan would work, but she assured me you wouldn't be able to resist returning for the funeral.
I stare at Wit. She betrayed me, manipulated me, using my brother's death. I'm going to be sick. Why? Why would you do this to me? After all this time, don't you blame this on me. Wit struggles to keep her tone even. I gave you so many chances. I wanted to believe we could work together as equals. But in the end, you always insisted on doing things your way. Nothing I said mattered. Or if you did listen, you took the glory for yourself. She sighs. I told you that someday you'd dig yourself in too deep. Today, I gave you one last chance to prove me wrong. One last chance to listen to me for once and go back to Maverick while we still could. But you didn't. You chose yourself over us. Again. She takes a long look around the hall. You really do belong here, you know. That's what you've proved today. So I'm taking the crew and leaving. I'll take care of them the way you should have. My shock is wearing off, her biting words stoking a fire in my gut. As much as she might be right, I can't process anything but anger. My hands curl into trembling fists, painful heat singeing the surface of my palms. Faden motions to the guards holding Wit, and they start to lead her toward the door. Before they pass me, she halts. The guards let her linger for just a moment. Her voice is soft. We always said if only one of us could survive, one of us would. I lunge, but the guards at my arms stop me just before I can reach her, our faces close enough for me to whisper, "When I'm queen, we'll see which one of us survives." Chapter 6. Crossing the threshold of my old chambers is like being thrust back in time to my former self. This room should be my sanctuary. Instead, it's once again my prison. I'm no stranger to house arrest. Guards stationed right outside my door, flying back and forth outside my window. Growing up, Faden always treated Gaius with trust, blessing him with preference and freedom, while treating me with reservation, something almost akin to fear. I never quite understood it. Not until the day my fire manifested. I guess I should be grateful I'm not spending the night in my actual cell, but at least there I wouldn't be surrounded by so many memories. The entire room has been preserved as if I'd never left. Probably the doing of my sentimental brother. But with Gaius gone now, and me shipping off to the competition, I'm sure it won't be long until my father turns it into his own personal armory. I collapse backward on the bed, a gazillion frilly pillows falling over my face. How in Phelan did I get here? In just a day's time, I've gone from almost pirate captain to being a slave to my birthright. It'll be one night of sleep for me, then off to the competition. The slaughter. All because I let my guard down. Because I trusted someone. Wit's face flashes before me. I don't know whether I want to get up and start throwing things, or curl up in a ball and never emerge again. Instead, I pace around the room. Maybe there's something valuable here I can take with me. I move to my dresser, wondering if anything there could sell for a pretty pouch of copper farthing coins. As I search, I avoid eye contact with the large mirror over the dresser. I don't need to look at it to know I'm a mess. Even so, the mirror's judgmental stare weighs heavy, discomfort burying its fingers under my skin. I rake my knotted, mangled waves into some semblance of order and pull at the stiff silk attire they left me in. I rub at my tired eyes, but wince, remembering the punch I'd received at the beach. That's going to leave a mark. Lovely. Not finding anything of real value, I glance above the mirror, where 2 large paintings hang. One is a portrait of myself, commissioned just before I turned 13. The other is of my mother. I'd been a plain-looking sprite growing up. My features matched more of my father's, causing me to appear more puckish. My mother, on the other hand, was a stunning sight, lovely in every way. My only saving grace was that I'd inherited her long, dark curls. Not that I cared much about looking pixie-like when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, I'm glad to see more of my mother poking through. If only I'd known her. Though I'd asked endlessly as a sprite, the nature of her death has always remained hidden from Gaius and me. Our father refused to speak of it, and all I could get from the servants was that he'd never been the same since, whatever that meant. I couldn't imagine him any other way. Supposedly, our mother had been his anchor. They may have even been in love. Perhaps if she hadn't died, my relationship with my father would have been different. But this is my life. Always losing anyone and anything I love. Trapped in a destiny I don't want. I slam my hand against the dresser. I can't believe I'm stuck here. Again. Unable to escape my past, while my crew is probably on their way to Maverick to receive their prize. My prize. Wit will no doubt be named captain in my absence, while I'm crushed under the weight of this life. Just as my brother was. As each element of the room calls forth another memory, whispering to me, the walls close in. My breath quickens. I have to get out of here before I pass out, even just for a moment. The guarded door isn't an option, nor the windows. Finally, I look at my reflection as if she'll have an idea. Though my mirror self doesn't speak, a glimmer of light flickering through a crevice in the wall behind me catches my eye. I turn around and draw toward it, lifting the edge of a tapestry to reveal a latch. Relief floods my veins. It's still here. Pulling at the handle, the stone panel lifts, just as it did years ago. Inside is a pulley system that leads to only one other room, where light peeks through below. Gaius's room. Gaius and I had unearthed the sealed-up dumbwaiter as sprites. We'd frequently used it to transport notes, and sometimes even ourselves, back and forth without Faden knowing. Great for getting in extra dueling practice to sharpen our skills. And now, it could be the key to escaping this whole place. Approaching the hole in the wall, I hesitate at the tight fit. My once much smaller body used to fit through our makeshift passageway perfectly. But this might be my only chance. Ensuring no guards have come to check on me, I try not to hyperventilate as I just barely squirm inside and lower myself down. I breathe with relief as I enter Gaius's room. Though toy soldiers and dragons have been replaced by medals of honor, it still smells like him. And I smell something else. Seawater. It's coming from Gaius's window. It's open. I rush to it, breathing in the fresh scent, my heart racing at the sight of the evening sky littered with moons and stars, calling my name. While my room has all eyes on it, Gaius's room is unguarded, and this window faces a side of the fortress that isn't being watched. I look over Grey Marrow City, to the beach below. My wings are still developing. They won't be strong enough to reach the beach in one go. But as long as I take breaks on a roof here and there, I can probably make it out of here without being noticed. If I'm lucky, I might even catch my crew, tell them the truth of Wit's betrayal, and claim my rightful place. Even if I have to challenge her for it, it's better than staying here. Sure, I'd given my word that I'd enter the competition, but it wasn't like I'd had a real choice in the matter. Like always, I'd been manipulated into making the choice my father wanted. And since when was a pirate good to their word, anyway? Going over the plan again, my fingers clutch the dagger at my side for assurance, when another thought hits me. Wait. I look at my dagger. If Gaius's dagger wasn't with his casket, then just maybe... Frantically, I turn around and strip the bed, kneeling to look under it. Nothing. I thrust open the wardrobe drawers, tossing clothes and trinkets to the floor. It's got to be here. As our last gift from our mother, Gaius treasured the daggers as much as I did, maybe even more so. If it wasn't on his casket, he must have hidden it before his death. Above his dresser, a portrait hangs over his mirror, just like mine. I startle at the sight. It's Gaius, though obviously a more recent painting. His stark white hair is shorter than I remember, wisps and spikes revealing the points of his ears more, a cut my father would have approved of. He may be physically gone, but the painting somehow comforts me. He'd definitely grown up, his posture straighter, his features sharper and more pronounced. The artist had even included the scars that marred his otherwise perfect complexion, probably because it made him look tougher. I shudder, recalling the night he'd gotten them. The night I gave them to him. I've imagined returning to Grey Marrow many times. In my imagination, Gaius always forgives me, welcoming me with open arms. Now that reunion will always remain a dream. I touch the picture gently with my fingertips, then pull away as bits of stone trickle down the wall under the frame. What the? Clasping the portrait, I shift the frame away from the wall to reveal a hole chiseled in the stone. Inside is a myriad of dusty scrolls and old maps. I shouldn't be surprised. Gaius always hid his inquisitive mind from our father. But in the midst of them, there it is. His dagger. Pulling out the all-too-familiar blade, I take my own dagger and put it side by side with its twin, both of them engraved with the same maze of ornamented symbols. Placing the daggers together, they fit into the single blade they were made to be once again. An unfamiliar pressure builds behind my eyes. My hand rushes to my face in search of tears, but as expected, none come. The truth is, I haven't cried since I left 4 years ago. Either my harsh upbringing finally forced out all possible tears, or I've simply forgotten how to produce them. Even now, with Gaius gone, though my heart is aching so hard that I fear it will stop any moment, no tears appear. Instead, the room spins, and I lean against the wardrobe, trying to catch my breath. I've lingered too long. It's time to go. I rush to the window, but before jumping, I look back at Gaius's portrait. I nod in thanks. Always helping me, brother, even in death. I'm panting as I reach the beach, searching for the minnow. My wings ache, so I urge my feet to hurry, cursing the impeding sand. But there's no sign of my crew or the minnow. Breathlessly, I scan the sea for any sign of a ship's shadow until I spot them. A small speck now on the horizon. I'm too late. There's no way I can force my wings to fly that far. What in Phelan am I going to do now? I whip around, ready to scream, not caring who will hear. But the scream catches in my throat. I'm face to face with my brother's tomb. I approach, my stomach twisting. Though separated by a stone that covers the entrance, I feel strangely alone with him, so close to the body that used to be full of life and promise. It feels as if he's watching me, shaking his head as I betray my last chance to make up for what I did to him. Exhausted and distraught, my knees hit the sand, my head in my hands as it all comes rushing back. There was no way I could have stayed, Gaius. I had no place here. You didn't need me. You were supposed to become the next Gwyllian Lord. You were supposed to be fine. My fingers dig into the sand, squeezing hard. I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. I should have been here. My voice cracks, but the tears won't come. the pain inside me only growing. My breath hitches, and I collapse to the ground. Rolling onto my back, I try to breathe as I stare up at the stars, Gaius's words resounding in my head. You can't just run away when things get hard. You have a different kind of strength. I know it. He's right. I can't run this time. There's literally nowhere to go. Whit made sure of that. All I can do is face what's right before me. My life as a pirate has been stripped from me, my own mission lost to sea. But my brother's mission, his destiny, still lingers here, unfulfilled. My birthright, my place as the Lady of Grey Marrow, is his only hope. Maybe this time I can actually fix things instead of screwing them up. Maybe I can still honor him, even in death. As I stand, my eyes move to the torch beside the tomb. It's still unlit, an eternal reminder of a once vibrant existence snuffed out by life's cruel winds. I shake my head resolutely. I won't let you die in vain. Approaching the torch, I reach out and close my eyes. Having repressed the curse within me for so long, I'm not sure what will come. But at this point, I don't care. Instead of fighting and stuffing it down like I usually do, I channel the memory of Gaius, allowing the pain and anger to flow. My father's disgust, Whit's betrayal, every rage and regret I've tried to forget since the day I left home. It's as if a volcano awakens from its sleep and a rush of heat courses through my veins. In an explosion of pain and light, my eyes shoot open as the same orange and red flames I'd burned Gaius with burst from my hands. But this time, they bring Gaius's torch back to life. I won't let his legacy end this way. I tremble with a mix of anger and adrenaline, an odd sensation of victory and fear. My anger subsides, and the fire recedes from my hands. I stand back, gazing at the torch's flickering flame, ready to make my vow. I'm going to finish what you started, Gaius. And this time, I won't let you down. Having made my promise, I release my wings and make my way back to the fortress. I command myself to leave my fire behind, channeling everything my brother embodied instead. This is going to be my greatest disguise yet. Chapter 7. I don't sleep much. As the sun rises, I'm led back to the beach. Back to the same Sylph ship my crew captured just the day before. It's ready to set sail again, only this time I'm its prisoner. Normally, my father wouldn't trust the other clans with anything, especially with something as important as transporting his only hope for Phelan's crown. But the Fairy Queen had one other condition for me joining the competition: that I be delivered in chains. Royal lineage or not, I'm still a criminal. That means no attendants to cater to my needs, just restraints and wary eyes. You can't be serious, I tell my father. What am I supposed to do if Her Majesty's lackeys decide chains aren't humiliating enough?
Do not think me a fool, Quintessa.
Phaedon calls forth 2 of his guards. They carry what appears to be a soldier's breastplate. They fit it around my chest, locking it at the back with a key.
I assured the Queen that you would be chained, but she failed to specify how.
My fingers graze the metal, and I lift a brow. What is this?
Our newest form of punishment. It's made from a lighter metal that allows one the freedom of their limbs for labor, but the wing holes are sealed. We call it a wing restraint.
My eyes widen, and I frantically attempt to release my wings. They don't budge, as if they don't exist at all. They might as well have been severed off. What is a fairy without her wings? The shame is so overwhelming, I nearly beg for normal chains.
You won't manage flying away while in their custody,
my father explains.
But you'll at least be able to defend yourself. You should be good at that, considering your life of crime.
The guards hand me some of my smaller weapons, all of them easily concealable, including my daggers. Warmth spreads through my chest as I look from the gift to my father. But he avoids my gaze, watching the sylph ship beyond me.
When you get there, the Queen might tell you to play fair, to be diplomatic in the case of someone else winning and rising to power.
He sneers, finally looking down at me.
But you must not trust anyone. Though, I'm sure you've already learned that lesson very well with that pirate pixie.
I glare back at him. Thanks to you. Still, he's right. From now on, I'm on my own.
Besides, he continues, losing the crown is not an option. There's too much at stake. More than you know.
His eyes fixate on me as if they can bore the truth into me. More than the crown? What isn't he telling me?
There isn't time. Hurry and hide your weapons before they see.
As I stash the blades on my person, I go to prod further, but my father turns to head back to the city without another word. I clamp my mouth shut, pursing my lips. I don't know what else I expected. Heartfelt goodbyes are not the Gwyllian way. He's done what he can to protect his investment. Now it's up to me. Leading me onto the sylph ship, the guards hand my restraint key to the captain. He receives it smugly, reveling in how the tables have turned as I fuss with the fit of the restraint. The rest of the ship falls silent. All eyes are on me. Some of the sylph guards glare and sneer, still nursing wounds from my crew's attack. It probably doesn't help that I'm wearing the sylph garb I stole from them. In an effort to keep my transfer a secret, the captain and my father agreed that having me look like a common sylph, with the wing restraint posing as simple armor, would be best. I'm missing the captain's hat, however. Handing that over was like finally admitting I'd lost my last chance at captaincy. I see you've gotten your clothes back. I mock one of the crew before I can stop myself. Might take a few washings to rinse out the smell of pirate, though. I should be trying to channel Gaius's poise, but I can't resist testing the waters, feeding off their hate. One stocky sylph looks ready to lunge, his right eye staring me down while the left remains hidden by a bandage covering half his face. I reach for the dagger hidden at my side. One of my crew obviously did a number on him, and he looks hungry to retaliate. His taller friend places a hand on his shoulder, breaking our tension. Smart friend. I continue down the deck with my head held high as the sylphs hoist the sail. It's a relief to be back at sea, but I miss the minnow in my crew. If I'm being honest, I even miss Wit. What she's done is unforgivable. But maybe she was right. Maybe I was never meant to be a pirate. Captain Shade is dead and gone. With my curls as my only cover, my true face is now exposed to the world.
Raise anchor!
The call pulls me from my sulking. As we depart, I gaze one more time at Greymarrow. Even just barely pulling away from its shores, leaving behind its memories, I feel lighter. Before any kind of hope can take its place, a different heaviness settles in. The uncertainty of what lies ahead. In just a few short days, I'll be in Eldor, standing in my brother's place, face to face with 4 other younglings bent on my demise. The next day at sea is unbearably hot. Everyone on board is irritable, especially me. I'm uncomfortable, crabby, and bored out of my mind. I try to stay quiet and diplomatic, I really do. It's what Gaius would have done. But every time I open my mouth, whatever I plan to say comes out the exact opposite. Distributing water to the crew, the guard handing it out pours my portion into his mouth and spits it back out in my face. After that, I decide taking on the persona of a mute will probably be the wisest decision. Thankfully, the evening brings a reprieve of cool air. It's so quiet I can hear the creak of the ship as it sways on the waves. The crew is below deck, but I stay topside. I can't sleep knowing what lies ahead. I lean on the ship's railing and look at the starry sky, my chest aching with longing. My mouth is so dry. If the drought ever decided to end, this would be the perfect time. But the moon shines brightly with no clouds in sight, mocking me. I lick my lips as I look at the water below.
Wishing you could drink the stuff, eh?
A gruff voice asks. Before I can react, fingers clutch my arms.
Let us give you a hand.
A scream builds in my throat, but they force me down, covering my mouth with a cloth, the same cloth my crew used to gag the Sylph soldiers. I thrash, telling my arms to grab for my hidden weapons, but the Sylphs hold tight, relieving me of them one by one. There's at least 4 guards, and none are careful of where they place their hands either.
You won't need these where you're going.
One of them sneers while the others chuckle. Every touch, every weapon removed leaves me more helpless and exposed than ever. If there was ever a time I wished my hands would catch fire, it's now. But instead of anger, paralyzing shame and fear overtake me, leaving me cold. One Sylph grabs for my daggers. My heart sinks. No, anything but those. With the last connection I have to Gaia snatched from me, it's as if all the fight within me leaves with it.
We don't care what deal the Queen made with you, pirate.
One whispers venomously in my ear, his spittle hitting my cheek. His breath reeks of rum.
We don't want you on our ship a second more.
His voice slurs.
Besides, getting rid of you means one less obstacle for her heir in the Ethodine.
He jerks me around, pulling my face close to his. It's the Sylph with the bandaged face. My heart pounds, but I narrow my eyes. I can't let him see the fear ripping through me.
You pirate scum act as if your reckoning will never come.
He leans in close. Too close.
Well, now it's your turn to be thrown to the mercy of the sea.
He rips off his bandage, a crescent moon scar staring me in the face. My stomach clenches. It can't be. It's the same Sylph I'd sent to the depths during our raid. As I try to fathom how he survived, he offers a drunken smile and looks me up and down, clicking his tongue.
Such a shame.
Suddenly, his lips are pressed against the cloth over my mouth, giving me a sloppy, rum-tasting kiss. The others chuckle until Moonface pushes me back with a sneer. Picking my limp body up off the deck, they toss me over the banister, their laughter echoing into the night as I spiral down to the ocean below. Striking the surface of the sea feels more like shattering through a floor of ice. The underwater current whips me in circles, my muscles nearly numb with shock. My pulse pounds in my ears as I flail, lungs burning like they're about to burst. Though salt water stings my eyes, I desperately try to tell which way is up and kick with all my might. Thankfully, I break the surface, spitting out the salty water and gasping for breath beneath the gag. I reach for the cloth and relief washes over me as I realize my arms are free. Stupid Sylphs. I untie the gag as my legs kick furiously to keep me afloat. If they weren't so drunk, they would have thought to tie me up properly. Shivering with cold and fury, I frantically swim toward the ship. My rage stokes the heat within that I wanted earlier, coursing through my blood, fending off the possibility of hypothermia. But I only make it a few feet before fatigue sets in. I can't process why until I remember. The wing restraint. I kick harder, but I only tire faster, the weight of it like an anchor threatening to drag me under and pin me to the ocean floor. Now is the time to panic. Spinning around, my breath quickens as I look for something, anything, that might keep me afloat. Besides the ship speeding away, all I see is open ocean in every direction. Sluggishness joins the fear and cold seeping back into my body. I beg my limbs to keep moving, but they won't obey. As I sink, the starry sky above blurs, and my eyes adjust to the ocean's darkness. A school of fish swims by while other much larger shadows float in the distance. Creatures yet unseen and probably hungry for a taste of pirate. Panic slowly turns to acceptance as what I've been pushing deep down bubbles to the surface. I deserve this. I believed I couldn't be caught, that I was invincible. But all my decisions have led to this moment. From wit to my failed heist. Did I really think I could gain redemption by taking my brother's place in some stupid competition? I failed him again. I don't deserve any more chances. The sea wraps around me like the arms of an old friend, and I embrace her in return. She and her creatures lurking nearby will finally claim me as their own. Releasing one last breath, water fills my mouth. Then 2 arms wrap around my waist. Chapter 8. Coughing violently, water rips from my throat and I heave in gulps of air. I flop onto a wood floor, my vision out of focus. A puckish figure leans over me. He's saying something, but the sound is garbled. An impossible thought floats through my mind. Gaius? I correct my foggy brain. Even in my delirium, I know that can't be true. Besides Gaius being dead, the faerie over me has blue-tinted skin. As he comes into focus, the gills on his neck pulse and relax. Nymph. His wrapped garment reveals a mostly bare chest, dripping water highlighting every lean muscle in the moonlight. As his skin dries, it fades to a warm olive tan, and his teal oval eyes narrow with concern. Curling nymph symbols are etched in the buzzed sides of his midnight blue hair, while the longer hair on top hangs toward me. It drips salty water droplets into my mouth, and I swipe them away. I never want to taste seawater again.
She lives!
Like most nymph voices, his is as smooth as honey. Warm and soothing, but never to be trusted.
You're going to be okay. Just stay still.
My head whirls as his words echo and reverberate around me, making me dizzy. I must still have water in my ears.
Now, what's a beauty like you taking a midnight swim in the middle of the ocean for?
He chuckles, his hand reaching for my face. Even in my foggy state, my Gwyllian reflexes are sharp. I grab his wrist and his eyes grow wide. He tries to pull away, but I hold firm. Taking another sweet gulp of air, my voice croaks out with as much intensity as I can muster. No one touches me. I let go, and he gingerly rubs his wrist, his face shifting from surprise to intrigue. A dimple forms on his right cheek.
I think the phrase you're looking for is thank you.
Thank you? I try to remember how I've gotten wherever I am. The nymph's voice doesn't sound watery anymore, and as my fogginess clears, visions of being grabbed and thrown overboard send me frantically turning every which way. Where am I? I demand. I'm definitely on a ship, but this time I'm surrounded by nymphs, the iconic trident on their flag waving in the evening breeze.
Whoa, whoa.
The nymph moves toward me, but then thinks better of it, pulling back.
Our ship spotted you as you were drowning. I saved you.
He seems particularly proud of that last fact. Spotted me? I hadn't seen another boat anywhere.
Well, underneath the water, that is. She can travel underwater, too.
He pats the ship's floor as if it's a pet. Slowly, I recall the large shadow looming in the depths before I was saved. Though I'm mortified to be rescued by a nymph, at least it wasn't a hungry beast.
We almost passed right by, but lucky for you, the moonlight was shining through at just the right angle, reflecting off your fancy armor there.
He points to my wing restraint, unaware of what it truly is. For once, I'm glad I'm wearing it.
And now, I welcome you aboard my ship, the Calypso.
He opens his arms toward the vessel and his crew. I recognize the name. This is not just any nymph ship. It is the ship of the nymph heir. I must be looking at one of my competitors. Growing up, I was never taken beyond the borders of Greymarrow, let alone allowed to meet the other heirs, so I take in his features afresh. He doesn't look much older than me. Though I'm encumbered by a rampage of shivers, my wet body cooling in the frigid air, I try to stand to better meet his stature. He offers his hand, but I wave it away.
Here.
My competitor turns as one of his crew surfaces from below deck with a blanket. He takes it and gently holds it out to me.
My name is Sir Aaron, or just Aaron, if you prefer.
Instead of the usual fearful gaze I'm used to, intrigue and concern color his expression, as if I'm a small, frightened creature he doesn't want to scare away. Oh, how wrong you are. I'll teach him that fear is the appropriate response. But when I reach for my daggers, I remember that I've been disarmed. I know who you are. I snatch the blanket from him, wrapping myself in the dry fabric.
You do you?
Aaron's chest puffs up, but there's an odd quirk to his brow.
And who might you be?
I wrap the blanket tighter, hesitating. If I tell him who I am, there's a good chance he'll throw me back overboard, and I'm in no hurry to return to the icy deep. I was cocky and careless on the Sylph ship, but I won't make that mistake again. To the nymphs, I'm already a hated pirate who acts like she owns their ocean. Now I'm also one of the few who can keep this particular nymph from gaining the crown. He's probably on his way to Eldor right now. What a twist of fate. The fact that I am alive at the hand of a rival makes me wonder if Gaius has been watching over me from the beyond after all.
Well?
Aaron's brows dip, as though curious why I haven't answered. If I want to keep living, I have to think fast. Whether I like it or not, I have to be cautious and cunning. I have to think like wit. Do you always go out of your way to save fairies you don't know? I ask, teeth chattering, attempting to buy more time so I can think of a good story to spin.
Only the pretty ones.
He smiles. I nearly laugh in his face. I'm sopping wet and huddled under a large blanket. I'd heard the nymph heir was a flirt, but I didn't expect him to be desperate. His confidence tells me he's used to other pixies falling for his typical nymph charm and good looks with ease. But even if I had time in the last few years to have a type, Fishboy wouldn't be it.
Come now, we have to be able to call you something. Obviously you're Sylph Militia.
He points to the uniform peeking out from the blanket.
How in Phelan did you end up out in the middle of the ocean all by yourself?
Wit. My name is Wit. I stall, blurting out the first name that comes to mind as I try to channel my former friend. To get out of a jam, Wit has a gift of telling more or less the truth, with enough twist to make her seem the innocent one. It can be tricky, but over the years she's taught me this particular art. Since this nymph already believes me to be a sylph with some strange armor, I lean into his assumption as I craft my new identity. It's too late to add a heavy sylph accent. He's already heard my normal cadence, and changing it too much now would only tip him off to my deception. Instead, I articulate some of my consonants a touch more, mimicking a lower-class sylph, and add in their typical know-it-all attitude. Beginning my tale, I speak slowly as I watch Aaron's reaction, working out the details as I go. I was aboard a ship with my comrades, traveling back from the Gwyllian prince's funeral.
Oh, yes. Gaius.
His smile fades.
I was sorry to miss it. I had a previous obligation.
I cock a brow. Is his regret authentic?
What a time for the Gwyllians to lose their only heir able to compete in the Ethodine, he adds.
I try to remember I'm playing a sylph, but the next phrase comes out of my mouth faster than I can catch it. On the contrary, seems the Gwyllian princess has been found alive and well. In fact, she's been hiding all these years as the pirate Shade. I pull the blanket closer to hide my smugness, peeking out at Aaron's reaction. He cocks his head, then bursts into laughter, his crew following.
" 'You mean to tell me that crazy loon is a bloody princess?'
Though their laughter surprisingly stings, I use the detail to my advantage. It's true. My crew was commissioned to bring her back to compete, but she tried to escape. When I attempted to restrain her, she knocked me overboard. Their laughter dies down. I try not to smile as the half-lie comes out better than I hoped. Maybe I don't need wit after all. My body warms as I continue my story with gusto. While she mercilessly tore through my crew, my armor caused me to sink. I tapped the metal restraint. Obviously, this stuff wasn't made for swimming.
Typical pirate.
Aaron snorts, and the others murmur agreements.
Not an honorable bone in their bodies, especially that one. Phaedon must be desperate or a fool to consider her as his champion, let alone a possible queen of Phelan.
You could say that again, I agree, trying to dismiss the strange pang of his words. Phaedon is a fool, and I don't really want the crown. But pirates carry a different kind of honor. And I'd sure as storms make a better leader than any nymph.
Well, our clans might not be on the best of terms, but any enemy of the pirate shade is a friend of mine.
Aaron physically shakes off the thought of the pirate he doesn't realize is standing right in front of him.
As an act of goodwill, I give you my word that I'll personally assure that you make it back to Eldor safely. As it happens, that's exactly where we're headed.
He takes a few careful steps forward, extending his hand.
Welcome aboard, Wit.
I shake his hand firmly. Perfect. I can't wait to see Aaron's face when he realizes he's helped his own competitor and sworn enemy safely reach the Sky City. Now all I have to do is keep my big mouth in check until then. The rest of the night, I watch Aaron and his crew carefully. I've been offered my own sleeping quarters, but unlike on the Sylph ship, there's no way I'm letting my guard down again. This is not a ship packed with militia, however. On closer inspection, most of Aaron's crew don't look much older than myself. But there is, of course, much frivolity among them. As one puck plays his fiddle, Aaron joins the group dancing to the tune. He's light and free on his feet as he falls in perfect step with a nymph jig, one I've seen Zale and Mira dance many times before. Laughter turns into hoots and hollers as those on the sidelines gulp down their drinks and clap in time. In spite of myself, I have to admire them. Unlike the Gwyllians, nymphs always look for a reason to celebrate, and celebrate loudly. With beauty as their etho, they're the greatest entertainers and party throwers in all of Phelan. They drink up life, deal with the hangover, and go right back in for more. The crowd's clapping speeds up, challenging the player and dancers to keep up with the tempo. Some falter and are forced to join the growing crowd, but Aaron isn't skipping a beat. Beating out the last nymph standing, he lands a triumphant pose as the tune comes to a finish. He bows, basking in his crew's applause. He then motions to the fiddle player, bowing to him as well. Catching his breath, Aaron saunters over to the much shorter nymph who nearly bested him and claps him on the back.
Hey, Finn, nice footwork out there.
Not as good as you.
Finn pushes blonde ringlets off his sweaty brow and hands him a drink.
Just like Aaron to show us all up. Is there anything you can't do?
Or any lady who won't fall for your charms?
Adds another with a nudge. Aaron opens his mouth, but catches me staring through the crowd. He smiles, but I quickly turn away before hearing him say,
The sea herself, lads. The sea herself.
They laugh. Being their prince, I'm surprised to see him treat his crewmates less like the lower class they are, and more like brothers. Their camaraderie reminds me of my own crew, and a small part of me wishes I could join in. But this is not some joyride to Eldor. This is my chance to learn more about my competitor. Perhaps I can find a weakness to use against him in the Ethodine. I've caught Aaron glancing my way more than a few times, but I don't want to appear desperate for information. I'll stay aloof. Make the sea devil come to me. Finding a stray piece of wood, I swipe a switchblade from a nymph who's taken one too many swigs of ale and settle near a crate on the starboard side. Whittling the wood should help me stay awake as I wait. It could also come in handy if any of the nymphs decide to try any funny business.
Why aren't you drinking?
Aaron appears just as I hoped he would, offering me a pint.
You just escaped the jaws of death. You should be celebrating.
My eyes grow heavy as I stare at the glass. All I want to do is consume the whole thing and sleep through the rest of the voyage. But I can't get Wit's wary voice out of my mind, warning me I can't trust what it could be laced with. Regretfully, I shake my head.
Suit yourself.
Keeping his distance, Aaron shrugs and sits, guzzling down his glass as well as mine. I curse my caution, wanting to grab what's left in the glass and wash it down myself. Instead, I raise a brow at his gluttony and focus on my blade, taking out my lack of ale on the block in my hands. He flashes me a winning smile.
What?
Just wondering what you're celebrating. It's not like you've won the competition yet or anything.
I wonder what his strategy to win might be, and how long it will take to get him to reveal it.
Oh, there's always something to celebrate,
he says jubilantly, but then sighs.
I guess I should celebrate that I've just been married off.
I nearly dropped the switchblade.
You just got married?
I tell myself that my interest is strictly business, research, but I am definitely intrigued. I can't imagine being married at our age.
Pretty much.
He shrugs. Let me get this straight. You got married and then left your bride to risk your life to possibly win the crown? It's more of a judgmental statement than a question.
More or less.
He goes to take another swig of ale, but frowns at his empty glass, putting it down in defeat.
You don't seem very happy. About the marriage, I mean.
I prod, hoping for some juicy details. Maybe a personal confession I can use as leverage once the competition starts.
Oh, she's gorgeous. Don't get me wrong.
Aaron assures me, as if that's all that matters. To a nymph, it's usually all that does. He looks to the starry sky, leaning his head against the ship and heaving another sigh. So dramatic.
And yet...
He hesitates. I feel like I'm listening to one of Wit's stories, waiting for the cliffhanger to drop and let me off the ledge.
There's something missing, you know? I don't feel the way I should.
I roll my eyes.
Feelings aren't everything. I return to my whittling, growing uninterested with his vagueness. Feelings can be dangerous.
He turns to me with curiosity.
That's a pretty Gwyllian thing to say.
Blast! I curse myself as I hasten the blade against the wood. That's exactly what any Gwyllian would say. After years away from my clan, all it took was one lousy day back there for its poison to sink back in. Still, I have to admit there's some truth to my statement. I see it every time my fiery anger surfaces. Gaius' smoldering body flashes in my mind before I realize I haven't answered Aaron. Why am I talking so casually with him? I should be gaining information and trying to stay alive.
I've done a lot of study on the Gwyllian way. I try to play off the self-etho of knowledge, hoping it will dispel his curiosity. They have some good points.
Yes, yes.
He waves his hand dismissively, and I breathe a sigh of relief.
But emotions bring life.
He leans in, speaking more passionately with every word.
They fuel our dreams, give us a reason to wake up, and pursue what we want most.
I keep my eyes on my carving. They can also drag you down into a pit of misery and make you never want to get out of bed. What am I saying? It's like word vomit coming up from who knows where, and I haven't even had a drink yet.
My blade misses the wooden block that's now almost half its original size and nicks my finger. This time, I curse out loud as blood breaks through the skin. That's it. It's time to get out of here. Besides, Aaron is starting to sway from the ale, and I'm not going to hang around to see what drunk Aaron is like. Sober Aaron is quite enough, thank you. Throwing the block to the floor, I tuck the switchblade into my boot and put my finger in my mouth. "Excuse me," I mumble, standing to leave. I'm wasting my time. I'm not getting anything useful out of him tonight, and I know his type. Sure, he might have saved me, and he might be kind to his crew, but he's just like every other proud, pixie-prowling puck I've come across. One that always wants something in return. He's only thinking about himself. I'm sure of it.
Wit.
His hand clasps my free one, and I turn. Aaron is so close, his breath tickles my skin. Instead of reeking of spirits, it's sweet. I freeze, captivated by the intensity of his surprisingly sober gaze, his teal eyes boring into mine. For a moment, I think he's about to kiss me, which would definitely earn him a slap across the face. Instead, he tears off the end of his sleeve with one quick motion and guides my finger out of my mouth. Before I can stop him, he gingerly wraps the wound. Everyone else on board is too consumed with their own frivolity to notice us, but I suddenly feel self-conscious as his fingers graze mine.
There.
He smiles as he gently ties it off.
Now, do you really mean to tell me that you'd rather spend a life denying all that you feel just to avoid the possibility of a little pain?
His eyes search mine, and for the first time, I notice how many other shades of blue swim in them, like the rolling ocean waves on a calm day. I rush to think of a quippy answer to his question, but my mind is blank, and I don't have time to think anyway. I feel something. A heat. Not the same heat as when anger rises. No, this one ebbs and flows through my veins, bringing a flush to my face and a tingling to my fingertips. Aaron must feel it too. His eyes shift from my face to my heated hand in his. Before I can stop it, a spark ignites. "Ouch!" we say at the same time, both pulling away. Blast! I examine my hand, but thankfully the spark disappeared as quickly as it flashed, like those that sputter off of a sharpening wheel.
What was...
There's a surprising laugh in Aaron's voice as he shakes his hand, looking at me with one eyebrow cocked. No idea. I hold my wrapped finger close and take a shallow breath, encouraging the heat to dissipate. Thanks for this, but I think it's time I try to get some sleep. And with that, I leave him on the deck. Chapter 9. Once I find the room I've been assigned to, I lock the door behind me and pace, still holding my finger. What in Phelan was that? My heat has never felt like that before, never conjured as a spark. How did it? Without warning, the vision of Aaron gingerly wrapping my wound and looking at me with those sincere teal eyes floats into my mind.
Would you rather deny all that you feel just to avoid the possibility of a little pain?
Yes, I would. That's what I should have said. I wave the image away. Aaron can't have caused this. His kindness was just a ploy to get whatever he wants from me. And whatever this is, I just want it to go away so I can actually get some shut-eye. But my hand is still warm. What if it sparks again? Setting my sheets on fire would not be good. I spend the next hour trying to get the heat to cool down. I even think about returning to the deck to find a bucket of water, but that would mean facing Aaron again. Finally, after much pacing and feeling foolish as I wave my hands in the air to try and cool them, the heat dissipates enough that I'm willing to lie down. But it doesn't feel long after my head hits the pillow that a call stirs me from my sleep.
Land ho!
Of course. Light peeks through the room's small window, and I sigh, somehow even more exhausted than before. Deeper sleep will have to wait. Back on deck, nothing but tall, twisting trees line the shore behind Dunestone Harbor. Like past visits with my crew, boats from all over Phelan dock around us as shouts of hovering seagulls mix with the salty air. Trading sailors and impatient fishmongers push crates and barrels up and down gangplanks and through the streets, strictly keeping their distance from opposing clans. Dunestone Harbor's location makes it the closest port to the center of Phelan, the city of Shree. We'll have to go there first to get to Eldor. As the crew unloads, I step off the ship and spot Aaron poring over a map with one of his crewmen. Thankfully, he is fully clothed this time, his royal garb representing the true prince instead of a half-dressed sailor. Playing with the cloth still wrapped around my finger, I try to put our previous encounter out of my mind. "Where to next?" I ask, hoping he was too drunk last night to remember anything. Or, at the very least, how my hand heated in his.
"Morning, Wit,"
he greets me cheerfully. I try not to bristle at the name. Every time I hear it, Wit's betrayal stings afresh. But there's no changing it now. Aaron motions to the nymph at his side, the same short puck from the dance-off.
"Finn here thinks it'll be a straight shot if we go through the forest."
"That's right." Finn's blue eyes light up. His golden curls bounce along with him as he traces a direct route to our destination on the map. Right through the woodlands, the home of the Dryads. I shake my head. "You've obviously never come face to face with a Dryad while strolling through the woodlands before." My crew and I used to loot through the forest regularly, but even with Wit's thorough knowledge of the terrain and the skill of our crew, we always just barely escaped. I'm not about to trust this group of carefree nymphs to protect me, especially one like Finn. Though his dancing was impressive, his slight frame tells me he's never been in a fight in his life. Finn crosses his arms.
"I've always heard the Dryads are a peace-loving clan."
That's right.
Aaron defends his friend.
Aren't most of them healing medics?
Oh, sheltered prince. They'll peaceably slit your throat if you even think about damaging the home they love so dearly. I shrug. The Dryad etho is indeed centered around life, cultivating and protecting it. But it's completely up to the Dryads which lives they deem worth protecting. Finn rubs his neck, swallowing hard. But Aaron gives him a glare, and Finn's hand quickly returns to the map. I lower my voice. It's the changeling Dryads you really have to watch out for. You might have your half-fish form, but some Dryads can shift entirely into an animal, or even a tree or bush. I motion to the trees just a few yards away, their twisted limbs creaking in the breeze. For all we know, these here could be changelings themselves, listening to our every word, preparing to attack. Aaron and Finn hold their breath as if a tree will spring toward us any moment.
"Well, in that case,"
Finn yells, as if alerting any Dryad who might be listening.
"with all the cargo we have, it's probably best to take the Kobe Express anyway."
Aaron nods, and the two start back to the Calypso to gather the crew. That is, until Aaron notices my feet haven't budged.
What's wrong now?
He sighs. I press my lips together. I don't care how clever the kobolds are. Most of them are plumb crazy. Except for loyal pirates like Luna, I don't trust most kobolds as far as I can throw them, let alone the dust-powered machinery they create. This particular contraption, fondly called the Kobe Express, travels on tracks that wind throughout Phelan's lands. It's the most efficient way to get almost anywhere, but I've always refused to take it in the past. Unlike my ship, once inside it, I have no control. You trust that thing? I ask Aaron.
Do you have any better ideas?
I try to think. Walking around the perimeter of the forest would take days, and even flying over the woodlands would be dangerous. We'd still have to land in the forest to rest, more often if carrying the cargo Finn mentioned. Besides, I can't fly without revealing what my armor really is, and that would unravel the entire story I've spun. Blasted thing. I huff and march toward the lesser of two evils. The Kobe Express it is! As Finn and Aaron direct the crew with the cargo, the blaring whistle of the express cuts through the air, and I flinch. A crowd of fae are already waiting by the tracks, ready to board. Someone's voice rises above the gathering, and I spot 2 sylph guards near a cargo car. I take a step back toward the ship, not wanting to be seen by them in my uniform. But they're too consumed in yelling at a young kobold pixie for mishandling their goods. The larger sylph pushes the kobold to the ground as his shorter companion laughs and tilts back his head, his crescent-shaped scar coming into view. Moonface. The pixie cowers before him, and it's as if I'm seeing Luna at the mercy of Moonface's rum-scented breath. The memory of his lips on mine rushes back, but this time, instead of fear, my blood boils. Whatever flame lingers from the night before bursts forth with a vengeance. In a fury, I bolt down the port until I leap forward, tackling Moonface to the ground. "You wretched imp!" I seethe, delivering a few good punches to his face. I yell to the pixie, "Go!" She scrambles away as I pull out the switchblade in my boot, but the larger sylph knocks the blade out of my hand, yanking me off his companion. "You better be thankful you took my weapons, because if I had them now—" "What the—" Moonface starts. Wiping the blood from his nose, he catches a good look at my face.
"You? But you're supposed to be—"
"At the bottom of the ocean," I sneer, kicking to be released by his buddy. "You're not the only one who can make a masterful escape. Next time you try to kill someone, you better make sure they're good and dead before you sail away."
"What in Phelan is going on here?"
It's Aaron's breathless voice. He must have seen me rush off. He turns on Moonface with a vengeance.
"What did you do to her? What did I do to her?"
Moonface points to his bloody nose.
"She's the loon who jumped me."
The sylph eyes Aaron's garb.
"What's a nymph prince doing defending a fiend like Captain Shade, anyway?" "Shade?"
Aaron cocks a brow at him, then at me. His look sobers me instantly. There goes my cover. My head drops. I tried, Gaius, but I couldn't even last a few bloody days. Aaron isn't convinced yet.
"What are you talking about? Captain Shade threw her off one of your ships. She's been traveling with us ever since." "This is definitely her."
The sylph looks me up and down with disdain, pointing at my wing restraint.
"That's a Gwyllian device that keeps criminals from flying away. I have its key right here."
He dangles it in front of Aaron. I lunge for it, but the sylph holding me pulls my arms tighter behind my back. I wince. Moonface sneers.
"And she didn't throw anybody overboard. Jasper."
His bigger and obviously wiser companion interrupts.
"We were unsuccessful in stopping her from throwing herself overboard. Isn't that right?"
Jasper. So the scum has a name. I still prefer Moonface. "Liar! You threw me overboard and left me to sink to my death, you coward."
"So it's true."
Aaron's words slice through my anger.
"Your Shade?"
He stares at me as if I've just transformed before him.
"Which means you're the Gwyllian princess."
His voice trails off, his teal eyes flipping through emotions like turning the pages of a book. Confusion, shock, anger, perhaps even hurt. My muscles relax under his gaze, but only a touch. "That's Captain Shade to you, menace of the 5 provinces, master of the Silver Sea." Aaron closes his eyes. My words are barbed, meant to sting, but he shoots me an amused glare.
"Funny. I thought you'd be uglier."
Whether an insult or a compliment, I don't know, and frankly, I don't care. I turn back to Moonface. "I'll take my weapons and my key now."
"Not even for all the pixie dust in Phelan,"
he scoffs.
"Our captain will be very pleased to see you alive and well. He nearly took our wings when you went missing."
He walks forward with a slight limp. Their captain might have not gone that far, but that doesn't mean there wasn't a flogging. Taking a pair of cuffs connected by a clinking chain out of his belt, he claps them on my wrists.
So no, your ladyship. You're coming to Eldor with us.
As the express whistle sounds its last call, he gives me a sinister smile and moves toward the locomotive while his buddy pulls me along. I don't know which is worse, traveling to Eldor in the hands of these buffoons or in the company of a betrayed prince. But I look back, my eyes pleading for Aaron to do something. Anything. His look is hard and unreadable, until he finally puts a hand up.
Wait.
To my surprise, the sylphs obey, stopping in their tracks and slowly turning around. Aaron strides up to Moonface and stares directly at him.
"You're not taking her,"
he says slowly, holding out an open hand.
"She's more trouble than she's worth. You're going to hand me the key to her restraints. I'll take her to Eldor myself."
More trouble than she's worth? Then why is he helping me? Then I hear it. His voice has that watery effect again, like when I first woke on his ship. My head swims in the sound as the taller sylph's grip loosens, dropping me to the ground. I look up. Moonface and his buddy appear to be in some sort of trance, their eyes glazed, and I realize I'm witnessing something I've only heard about. The silver tongue of the nymphs. Though all nymphs are graced with great beauty and an alluring voice of velvet at birth, only a rare few are rumored to be graced with such a dangerously persuasive gift. Though I am in no position to request anything of him, I whisper to Aaron, "My weapons. Don't forget my weapons." Aaron puts up a hand, not breaking his concentration on his targets, warning me not to press my luck. Finally, he relaxes. Released from his spell, Moonface shakes his head.
You know what? This one's more trouble than she's worth,
he huffs, tossing the key to Aaron.
She's your problem now.
Aaron plays with the key in his hands, a smug quirk to his lips as the sylphs walk onto the train. Though my weapons are still unaccounted for, I breathe a sigh of relief. Once in Eldor, I vow to track them down and retrieve my darlings by any means necessary. Then Moonface will be sorry. For right now, I'm safe. Or so I hope. Aaron steps toward me, wearing a solemn expression.
"You may think you're clever, Wit, Shade, whatever your name is. Maybe it was wise to keep your true identity a secret. If I knew who I was saving in those waters, I probably would have let you drown."
He pauses, letting me feel the weight of his words.
"Still, I'm a puck of my word, and I promise to deliver you safely to Eldor."
I hold my breath as he gets close enough to whisper in my ear.
"But once the competition begins, pirate, there will be no holding back."
Chapter 10.
All aboard!
The conductor calls. I tentatively approach the train with Aaron close behind. For a moment, I think of making a break for it. Sure, I'm glad to no longer be in Moonface's clutches, but now I'm wondering why Aaron would go through the trouble. My father's warning echoes in my mind.
You must not trust anyone.
There's a decent crowd around us. I could catch Aaron by surprise, knock him out, grab the key to this vile restraint, and get lost in the shuffle. With tons of ships in port, I could easily hide out on one and try to start over once again. But then what? Right now, I'm weaponless and homeless. Surely Wit has alerted Maverick to who I really am by now. He wouldn't take me back even if I begged. And most of all, there's Gaius. Recalling the torch at his tomb, I remember my promise to enter the Ethodine in his name. To make up for all the ways I hurt him. All the times I wasn't there to save him. The Kobe Express is still the fastest way to Eldor. Once there, I'll be able to find Moonface and get my daggers back. Maybe some vengeance, too. I reach the passenger car and take the first step up. As if alarmed by my touch, the locomotive lets out another loud squeal. I jump, losing my footing and falling backward, right into Aaron. He catches me easily, but I squirm out of his grasp as he nudges me into the mechanical beast. Blasted kobolds. I shake my head, examining the inside of the contraption they've created. Never satisfied with the same old thing, the kobolds are always coming up with something bigger and better, faster and stranger. It doesn't help matters that the sylphs encourage their eccentricity. In exchange for all kinds of treasures, the sylphs commission them to create and build whatever they desire. Things that benefit Eldor and keep the sylphs safe and in charge. Sellouts. All the clans are, really. They claim to hate the sylphs and their rulership, threatening uprising and war that's led to this crazy competition's resurrection. But they've all enabled the sylphs to stay in power in their own ways, too. The Gwyllians protect Phelan's borders and keep the sylph soldiers stocked with weapons and tools. The nymphs maintain their luxurious living conditions, supplying entertainment for their royal events. Dryad medics keep them living long lives, while the kobolds keep their sky city running with inventions and all the pixie dust they need to use them. The sylphs monopolize most of the wealth, leaving the rest of us crawling back to them for these kinds of jobs to survive. Sometimes I wonder, if every clan simply stopped giving the sylphs exactly what they wanted, would they eventually lose everything that keeps their power intact? But what do I know? I'm just a pirate after all. Passing through the train's narrow walkway, I brush past tight booths on both sides. Everyone on board eyes my cuffs with wariness and judgmental stares. Feeling as if the walls are closing in, I choose the first open seat and press against the window, seeking any semblance of open space I can get. But it isn't long before the train moves, jerking me forward into the seat in front of me, earning me a glare from the elderly Puck who occupies it. No, I'm not going to like this one bit.
Mind if I join you?
Aaron doesn't wait for an answer before dropping into the seat next to me, his voice edged with tension of his own. Obviously, I don't have a choice as his prisoner, but as a prince and all, he seems to be keeping up his gentlemanly appearance. I'm glad I have no appearances to keep up anymore. You don't have to be my keeper. I motion to the enclosed space. It's not like I can go anywhere. Aaron leans back, settling into the seat.
Trust me, I don't like this any more than you.
Then why did you...
I couldn't just leave you with those lowlifes, could I? Who knows what else they would have done to you?
Disgust simmers in his voice. I lift my brows in surprise. He was worried about me? Catching my gaze, he coughs and turns away again.
Plus, if you don't make it to Eldor, I don't get to beat you fair and square in front of all of Phelan.
I smirk. I should be thanking him. Again. However begrudgingly, this is the second time he saved my life. But I'm not going to give him the satisfaction. Suit yourself. I close my eyes, settling into the seat as well. If you're going to sit here, then no talking. I don't need his silver tongue messing with my head. With the train picking up speed on the rickety tracks, the bouncing ride is already messing with my stomach. I wrap my arms around my sides. Aaron cocks his head.
I didn't know a pirate could get seasick on the shore.
I think you mean train sick, I correct him. On a normal day at sea, ships rock gently, and if needed, I can direct a ship into more stable waters. Here, I'm at the mercy of the machine. The clicking of tracks grates against my nerves, growing louder every minute. I open my eyes to glare at Aaron. And no talking, remember?
What's wrong?
Aaron grins, inching closer to me.
You afraid I'll make you do something you don't want to do?
I can tell it's more of a tease than a threat, but my stare must communicate that the concern has crossed my mind.
Don't worry.
He leans back again, crossing his arms and closing his eyes, mimicking my posture.
My gift only works on the weak-minded, ones that are simple, uncertain, or unstable. The sylphs at port were bold, but easily influenced. You, on the other hand, have already proven twice that your mind is stronger than I thought.
I raise my brows in surprise, remembering the swimming sensation of his gift. I hadn't succumbed to his tongue when I woke up on his ship, or while he was controlling the sylphs. He opens one eye to see me still staring back at him, then closes it. His dimple surfaces.
You're a hard one to crack, Shade, but I guarantee you'll fall under my spell someday.
I roll my eyes in a huff, turning back to the window. His cockiness is infuriating, but I'm glad to hear my mind is strong, that I can't be controlled. I sit a little taller. Hearing Aaron use my pirate name should make me feel stronger too, more at ease. But somehow, it doesn't sound right. Not now. I look at my chains around my wrists and sigh. No, not Shade. Though I definitely don't want to be called Wit anymore either. I look out the window, and Gaius's smiling face flashes in my mind. Quinn, I say softly, mostly to myself. What? Aaron asks, but I don't turn to him. Quinn, I repeat more confidently. Call me Quinn. Whether out of surrender to my fate, or because the nickname reminds me of my vow to Gaius, Quinn seems the most tolerable option. Letting the confession hang in the air, I brace myself for a snarky retort. But Aaron only shifts in the seat without a word, which doesn't bother me one bit. Out the window, there isn't much to look at. My beloved sea is long gone, and in its place stand trees upon twisted trees, lining the boundaries of the woodlands. We're one train ride away from our final destination, Eldor. That's when the real challenge will begin. I breathe, trying not to think too far ahead. I'm still on my way, Gaius. I haven't failed my vow to you yet. Wherever you are, I hope you're happy. The movement of the train evens out, the gentle bobbing of the car changing from sickening to soothing. Before I can stop it, my eyes close, and I fall asleep. Nudged awake, I jolt, arms flailing as I try to remember where I am. It seems like Aaron is getting used to that, though. He catches my arm just before it collides with his face.
Wake up, drooling beauty. We're almost there.
Almost? How long have I been out? I try not to panic, wiping at my mouth. I scowl when I find no drool.
Take a look.
He points out the window. The sun has started its descent, cascading colors running across the sky as the blur of trees clears to reveal our destination. The trade city of Shree, the direct center of our world, with the only entrance into Eldor. As our train crosses one of the few bridges that spans the moat surrounding the town, we leave behind the wide-open land and barrel into a city of smoke, looming structures, and crowded cobblestone streets. In a more peaceful time, Shree had been a collection of outlying sylph villages, a central place for all the clans to trade freely. But after the royal family took over trade and stationed a base there for their military, the city took a new shape, with sylph guards at every intersection. At Shree's center stands what they are really protecting: the sacred vine. Exiting the train, I look up at the vine until my neck hurts. Its green branches are thick as a village hut, twisting together in a gigantic stalk-like tree trunk stretching to the sky. Though its vast roots begin down in the kobold tunnels, it grows all the way beyond the clouds, where its branches support the foundations of the sylph city of Eldor. Though my crew and I have been here many times before, this is the closest I've ever been to the vine. Security in Shree is extremely tight. Even the strongest fairy wings can't make it all the way up to the clouds without landing on the vine for a breather, and sylph guards are stationed all the way around so that no one can enter unauthorized. The only way up is by yet another kobold mechanism that winds up the vine's stalk. Kobold torture machine, more like it. Drawing deeper into the city, we cut through the crowded markets. Fairies of all kinds push their way in and out of alleyways amidst the carts and shops. They carry everything from sylph parchment and quills to kobold gears and rare pixie dust concoctions. And the smells! From nymph perfumes to dryad spices, roasts and bubbling sauces, the mingling aromas intoxicate me. I think I even smell the tang of lily tarts in the air. I salivate, my stomach grumbling. Thankfully, no one can hear it above the vendors and patrons tirelessly bartering over mere farthings. Any other day, I could have easily swiped a whole meal by now. But Aaron's hand on my shoulder keeps me moving forward as I eye it all longingly. Distracting myself, I look up to the high buildings, the air clear of flyers. To minimize thefts, Shree is a no-fly zone, so we inch through the press of bodies. With such diversity, it's common to see strange things or skirmishes between clans break out. But I still jump when a dryad yells at the top of his lungs. The area hushes as he climbs on top of a barrel and lifts his hands over the crowd. His intense, cat-like eyes reflect the freshly lit lanterns, his voice growing louder with every word.
The time has come. The prophecies are true. The end is near. The Numa are coming!
What's he yammering on about? I ask.
Just another loon hopped up on pixie dust.
Aaron motions to a crowd of sylph soldiers making their way toward the dryad. Though they are twice his size, the dryad's passion increases.
You don't understand!
He puts up hands toward them as they advance.
We're all in grave danger! Look at our sacred vine! The leaves are turning brown. The stalk is growing moss. As the ancient writings predicted, the land will tremble and the creatures will revolt. Even the prophesied plague has come. It's the beginning of the end.
My ears twitch. He's referring to the gnolls, the sickness that took Gaius. Though the sylphs and kobolds have studied it for years, so much about it is still a mystery. I take a step closer to hear more, but Aaron pulls me back as the guards descend on the dryad, gagging him.
It's a shame your brother did not heed the prophecy. At least, not at first,
says a voice beside me. I whip my head around. Aaron is standing there, but he gives me a curious stare.
What?
He asks. It wasn't him. The voice was too low and scratchy to be Aaron's. I look around, but there's so many fae passing by, it could have been anyone. I scan the crowd again. As many hustle back to their routines, on the other end of the square, a cloaked figure doesn't move a muscle. Though his hood shades his face, I swear he's staring right at us. At me.
If you want to learn what really happened to him, you will follow me.
It's then that I realize this voice isn't external. It's in my head. Coming from this, whoever this is. And somehow he knows something about Gaius' death. What could he know? My heart quickens in my chest. As Aaron tugs me forward, the figure moves back into the crowd. Shrugging off Aaron's arm, I bolt toward the hood.
Quinn!
Aaron calls, but I'm already gone. And with the no-fly zone, he'll be forced to follow on foot. Darting through the crowd, I push aggravated folk out of my way and just barely catch sight of the figure's cloak disappearing into an alley. I chase him down it, to another and another. Wait! I call, but when I enter the final one, it's dark and completely vacant. How is that possible? He was just here. Aaron enters the alley behind me, clamping a hand on my shoulder again.
Did you really think you could run away that easily?
I wasn't running away. I turn to him, but my eyes dart around the alley.
Oh, really? Then what were you doing exactly?
I was chasing someone.
Someone who?
Someone who was talking to me. In my head.
Quinn, I really want to believe you, but when you make up stories like that,
would it surprise you that I don't really care what you believe? I snap. Though there's a small part of me that does. I shake off the feeling. I'm not making up stories.
Okay, then who were you chasing?
He asks. I shake my head. You wouldn't understand.
Try me.
He takes his hand off my shoulder and folds his arms. Before I can speak, his eyes widen, and he pushes me to the side.
Look out!
A shadow darts between us, and Aaron tackles him to the ground. The hooded figure. Without thinking, I launch forward, wrapping the chain that connects my wrists around the attacker's neck and pulling it taut. Aaron scrambles to his feet, eyes wide. He looks as surprised as I am at what I'm doing. Then his eyes dart behind me.
Quinn, turn around slowly and let him go.
What? I hiss as the figure tries to wriggle out of my grasp. Why in Phelan would I do that? Steps sound behind me, and I whip around, keeping the chain pressed into the hooded figure's throat. Looks like the goon has friends, all hooded as well. They take a collective step toward us, not saying a word. I think now would be the time to do something, I whisper to Aaron, but his brows furrow. Tell them to stand down, I try again, hoping he'll catch my drift.
There's 10 of them,
he whispers sharply. So what? You have a limit or something?
Just let the puck go and let's get out of here.
No, I'm not finished yet. This one knew about my brother, I say to the hoods. Tell me what he knows, or I'll snap his neck. But as I give the hooded figure a warning tug, I feel his bare hand on my arm and freeze. Fire. Everything I see is on fire. Heat licks at my skin. I'm running but getting nowhere. Quinn! I hear a voice call my name. A familiar voice. Gaius's voice. Quinn! The next thing I know, I'm waking up on the ground in Aaron's arms.
Quinn, are you okay?
What happened? Realizing where I am and how close I am to Aaron, again, I squirm away, looking around for the hooded figures. Where did they go?
I don't know. After you passed out, they just disappeared.
Chapter 11. Aaron and I keep our guard up as we make our way to the middle of the city. Thankfully, the hoods are nowhere to be seen. That probably wasn't my brightest moment, chasing a random figure into a dark alleyway with no plan. Good one, Quinn. Maybe I just imagined the voice I'd heard and frightened the poor sap into feeling the need to defend himself. Him and his mysteriously silent friends. But who were they? And what about what I saw when he touched my arm? Was it even real?
You sure you're all right?
Aaron cuts into my thoughts. His voice is soft, his brows knit with concern, like I'm about to crumble where I stand. Less like I'm a prisoner and more like I'm a weak little creature in need of protection. A part of me wants to hit him, but another part can't forget when he pushed me out of the hood's path. I'm fine, I say as coolly as I can, keeping my attention on our destination, the Sacred Vine. Passing through the last security checkpoint, we finally approach the Vineway. The kobold contraption starts at the base of the vine and will take us all the way up the stalk. The wooden carrying car creaks as we walk across the platform, which doesn't help my nerves. I'm nearly there, I remind myself. I made a promise to Gaius, and the possibility that there could be more to his death makes it that much more of a promise I intend to keep, even if it kills me. Even if it means being a nymph's prisoner for a little while longer. I need to find out the truth. I repeat my vow under my breath. I won't let you die in vain.
Kindly keep wings and belongings inside the car at all times,
a bubbly kobold pixie announces. She pulls a lever and the car lurches upward.
Here we go!
As we move up the stalk, the car spirals around its trunk in a diagonal fashion. I hold tightly to the railing till my knuckles turn white. With my wings still restrained, heights are now my greatest enemy. Feeling dizzy, I shut my eyes. Aaron chuckles.
Allergic to trains and scared of heights?
Nope. I force a smile. Just tired. To prove it, I take a deep breath and look straight ahead. Just don't look down. Though I've seen much of the land's terrain from atop the mountains, surveying all of Phelan from this height is unlike anything I've ever experienced. This high up, the mountains bordering our world seem so very small. The Silver Sea looks like it could fit in my hand, its maze of connecting rivers making their way through the woodlands and back to the moat around Shree. The only thing not visible are the kobold tunnels below. Above, all I can see are white, puffy clouds. As we rise above them, I glimpse the place I've never been able to break into before. Eldor. Just like the stories I've heard, most sylph structures sit atop the vine's massive branches, while others float or fly above us, suspended by sylph magic and the power of pixie dust. There are a few villages on the outskirts, but in the center stand the gates to Eldor. Sadly, I think of my crew and all the times we've tried and failed to get here. Vine security was always too tight to break through. They're going to be so mad they missed this. As we walk through the Golden Gates, the city of Eldor unfolds. Unlike Shree, these streets are spotless and not nearly as populated. Only a few sylph families casually walk and fly by us. As evening sets in, we're so close to the sun that sweat runs down my back. Many sylphs carry parasols decorated with a variety of intricate patterns. Some take notice of the nymph prince and his entourage leading what appears to be a sylph guard in chains. But besides a few strange looks and whispers, their own priorities seem much too important to care about us. At the end of the road that divides the city in two stands the Sylph Palace. As the sun sets behind it, the white towers gleam so brightly in the diminishing rays of sunlight that it nearly blinds me. It's even taller and more glorious than I'd imagined. Looming statues of famous sylph leaders and philosophers hold up the entryway like columns, and winding vines from the royal gardens peek out from behind its tall walls. The tension in my shoulders releases, and I breathe. We made it. Once inside the palace, Aaron hands over my restraint key to the guards who receive us, and I'm finally released from my bonds and this blasted wing restraint. Heaving off the heavy burden, I take great pleasure in tossing it to the ground with a grunt. I spread my sore wings with exceeding pleasure as both sounds bounce off the entry walls. A chorus of shh follows. Sylph scribes carrying scrolls and heavy texts have stopped their routines to scowl my way. But I don't care. It's the first bit of freedom I've felt in days. Before they lead us to our quarters, however, I spare a glance at Aaron. He's looking at me, too. Having just escaped the band of hoods and Shree together, it's as if there's a level of understanding in our silent exchange, knowing we're about to enter an even more deadly competition for the crown. Whatever just happened with the band of hoods, I can't think about that now. Not with the looming threat in front of me. I haven't quite decided what to think of Aaron yet, but whether we've been friends or foes during the journey here, we're now most certainly competitors. And soon there will be 3 more added to our ranks. I shoot him a smirk to break the stare. No holding back? Aaron returns a smile, remembering his vow to me at the port.
No holding back.
Hello, reader. This is Brittany Wang, the author of Wings of Betrayal, which is part 1 or episode 1 of my 6-book YA fantasy miniseries titled On Wings of Ash and Dust, narrated by the very talented Talon David. If you're excited to listen to the rest of the miniseries, you can listen to the remaining 5 audiobook videos through the playlist linked in the description below. Additionally, when this story was first released as a miniseries, all 6 books were later combined to form the full-length novel also titled On Wings of Ash and Dust, which is available now, and its sequel, On Wings of Crowns and Chaos, is coming April 10th, 2026, with the audiobook currently in production as well. At the time of publishing this video, I'm also hosting a fun book club style read-along for the entire On Wings of Ash and Dust story you are listening to now. If you'd like to join the read-along as you listen to these audiobook videos, simply sign up for email alerts in the description of this video and I'll send you all the details. Of course, feel free to share any thoughts about Part 1, Wings of Betrayal, in the comments too. I'd love to chat with you, and I hope you thoroughly enjoy the rest of the series linked below.